What is up, everybody? Welcome here to Pop Culture Philosophers. And tonight, we're talking about the best comics of the month. It's time for the monthly comic book review, the award-winning monthly comic book review. I will be your host for tonight's festivities. I am Rockin Robbie Billups, and joining us tonight, we have the co-host with the most, except for the ghost, which he gave up so long ago, he doesn't even remember how to shave close. It's Nick from Comic Culture. What is up, my man?
It didn't make any sense, but that was awesome, man. Thanks for having me, dude. How you been?
Oh, I've been good, man. This is our 16th appearance in a row.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. We're going for year 2. Best collaboration, y'all. So
hard and heavy, man.
Let's get ready.
Last year was real, dude. Let's keep it going, man.
CBC awards are coming. And like I told everybody, I'm not going to accept a nomination for best hair or best beard, but I will accept best hands because I have started top down, bottoms up. Speaking of top down, bottoms up, there's a new player here on the horizon, a long-time participant in the community, but now actively making weekly comic book videos, some of the best. He's putting us all on alert, y'all. So from 9-panel grid, and somebody please, there's links in the description below to all of these beautiful people's channels, but somebody throw out the 9-panel grid link in the chat. Y'all go sub up. From 9-panel grid, it's Easy Dick. What is up, my man?
What's going on, guys? Speaking of best hair in the game.
That's right.
How y'all doing?
We're doing well, but not only are you coming for us for one of the best comic book review videos weekly, you're also coming to my man Manny for best hair. What's up, my man?
Dude, station. I'm glad that I knew Eric was coming on early this month, so I had time to grow it out. I didn't want people to confuse us. You know?
Too much handsome on the bottom here.
It's honestly, that's very funny that you mentioned it because our next panelist, this is the exact same reason why she grew her hair out. So it's Carrie from Officially Unofficial Geek. What is up?
Hey, what's up, guys? It's great to be here. I missed last month, but I'm back.
Yeah, we had a fun one last month, I think. I don't know, did we?
Not as much fun because I wasn't here.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Well, this is what we do. We talk about our favorite comic books of the month. There might be some slight spoilage, but if we're going to spoil something big, we're going to let you know. But honestly, there's nothing super big to spoil. Bruce Willis was a ghost the whole time. So there you go, in case you didn't know. But what movie am I talking about? I'm not talking about Sixth Sense. I'm talking about The Last Boy Scout. All right. Anyway. We're going to kick it off with our picks of the month. We want you to be a part of the conversation. We see all of you beautiful people out there in the chat, like Sleepy Reader 666, who for some reason decided, let's just jump into Transformers number 7. I thought that was funny. Flash by Night is here. Rogue Collecting, Anissa. So many beautiful people out there in the chat. GTK Comics. So, Nick, why don't you kick us off? What's to you, out of everything that released in April of 2024, what's your pick of the month?
Man, all right. I'm gonna pick this book because it reminds me of like the best parts of the MCU as of late. So we're gonna talk about Avengers Twilight, issue number 5 from Chip Zdarsky and Daniel Acuna. Now, the reason why I picked this book is because as I'm reading this book, I'm getting flashbacks to the first Avengers movie that we had, where it was just nonstop freaking action, a great collaborative movie, events. They all have their problems they're trying to work through. This is a futuristic story. We're dealing with a lot of familiar villains that are like leveled up in their own way, right? It's still very much centered around like Captain America and Tony Stark and things like that. But there's so many little twists and turns. So many other characters are introducing into the story. And it's just like, it just reminds me of the best parts of the MCU. As I was reading it, I had a blast doing so. And the art in here, like every single page has something breathtaking from Acuna on here, right? It's like, it is done just so well. It's a great story. It's going to be wrapping up very soon. I hope he crushes the ending of it because like the battle we're setting up at the end of this issue is going to be insane, especially, I mean, it's already just like set the bar so high. I can't even imagine what he's going to pull off in the next issue. But like everything about this book is great. The writing's great. The art is spectacular. The story is really fun. Yeah, dude. Avengers Twilight, issue number 5, just completely nailing it this year.
Man, I'm loving that book. I'm loving it so much. Like the first issue, you know, you hear like, oh, it's like Dark Knight Returns for Captain America. You hear all this kind of hyperbole, right? Or hyperbole. I guess that's how you say that. It's not how I read it. But And the first issue came and went, and I was like, that's pretty good. It's pretty decent. And just keeps getting better, right? And structurally, like it amped up at just the right time. It pushed that story way further. It didn't stretch things out like most people do. This is a book that's 6 issues and deservedly so. Nothing slacks in this book, which is very surprising because I've almost become of the opinion that Chip Zdarsky is a solid writer when he's got a great artist, right? Because when you take his Batman run and you put in Mike Hawthorne, all of a sudden it starts sucking, right?
Yeah.
You put Jorge Jimenez on there and it's good. Right? His Daredevil run, same thing. I mean, why do they keep putting Mike Hawthorne on Chip Zdarsky books to run him into the ground? But that being said, Daniel Acuna doing the whole thing. I've heard rumblings that this was actually done a while ago, and for some reason they're just releasing it. But this is the kind of thing that Marvel never does that they need to do more of. This is going to be a perennial book. This is going to be a hardcover or a great trade paperback. This is going to be something that I can keep at my shop for years to come and sell to people. This is something that is really, really good. And the only way he's going to mess this up is if it ends with just Captain America doing a big, dumb, boring speech. And I swear, if that's what happens, screw this book. What are you thinking about this?
Mad. I'll have a video of me taking the book and throwing it across the room if that happens.
Comic book assault. Right? Speaking of comic book assault, what do you think about Avengers Twilight?
Oh, dude, I love this book so much. And I don't think we're going to have to worry about that too much either, because like they kind of flip the Captain America trope on its head within issues 1 and 2. They take him and they give him a speech and everyone's like, screw you, Cap. We don't care.
Yeah.
So like, I think we're good on that part. I mean, Acuna's artwork though, like when I reviewed this book, I just said, go ahead, give him an Eisner right now. He deserves it. No one's going to be better than this year. It's just, you can't top this. It's beautiful, beautiful artwork. And I'm kind of interested to see where Zdarsky takes it for the ending too, because every other series he's worked on, the last issue has felt like an epilogue, right? Like the story's over, but it's kind of like, okay, 2 months later, here's what's happening now, and it's not going to happen here. I mean, this, like, they have to finalize everything. There's a big battle that needs to be, had to finish this off here. But I don't know. I just love every single bit of it. It's action packed. It's witty. It's exciting. I'm here for it.
All right, there's another way he could totally mess up the ending. What if it just keeps building up, building up, building up, and all of a sudden it rains frogs, and then the book's over? Could go that route too. Speaking of raining frogs, it rains frogs all the time up in the Golden Lakes of what's this? What is it, Lake Titicaca? What the? Never mind. I don't know what I'm doing.
It's a Great Lakes, right?
Manny, why don't you tell us?
I love
Twilight.
Someone was trying to make a Purple Rain reference, and it just did not work out.
Well, I was like, the sad part is I thought he was making like an Islander reference, and I was like, oh, Titicaca, that was clever. And then I was like, oh, that's in Peru. That has nothing to even do with me at any front. So, but Avengers Twilight issue number 5, this is good. This is good. It's moving, breakneck. It's pulling you along, which I absolutely love. Acuna's artwork again. That it's got that same like photorealism of the AI that Sorrentino uses, but it's got that really cool expressive color, expressive shadows, and there's just something quintessentially mythic about seeing Steve Rogers going toe to toe with the Red Skull. Like in the future, it still comes down to him punching a fascist in the face. Like I fucking love it. Yeah, just all in all, a strong book. I love it. I love it. Chip motherfucking Zdarsky surprising me every month.
Yeah, it is kind of a surprise, honestly. And it's a Red Skull story that doesn't feel tired and the same or whatnot like that. And, I just recently reread Rob Liefeld's first issue of his Captain America, right? There will be a video coming on that one soon. And I don't know why I brought that up. Red Skull is alluded to in that first issue. Carrie, what do you think about Avengers Twilight?
You brought it up because you loved it and you're gonna do a video on it. It's
I've been listening to way too much Rob Liefeld. I've been listening to Robservations for weeks now, and it's like almost every episode's the same episode. It's like Todd hates me, and
I don't get enough recognition. I'm the best ever.
I don't listen to him. I catch little tidbits here and there of people talking about what he says, because I just know that I can only handle Rob Liefeld in very small amounts. I will
I'm
say
just there for the Todd McFarlane impression. That's like the best part of that podcast. He does it so well.
everybody
So
has
good.
a Todd McFarlane impression. Is his
Nobody
really-
has one like him though. His is the best.
his is the best. Okay. But anyways, we all know how I feel about Rob Liefeld, though I will say that there was a video a couple months ago. There was 2 videos that Cartoonist Kayfabe did. That was that interview from that one magazine, and they were kind of acting out the interview.
Yeah.
And
That was the one for the conducted by the guy from Boneyard Press, right? That was
Yes.
a Comics Journal, I think, interview.
yes,
Yeah.
that made me actually kind of like Rob Liefeld a little bit more than I ever did. So
It's one of his better interviews because it's very candid and it doesn't have all the salesmanship behind it. It's just a
Right,
very
'cause-
kind of down to
he
earth,
knows
grounded
that
conversation.
he knows that he's sitting there with somebody that doesn't like him.
Yeah.
You know, so he's
Yeah,
just like,
straight
okay, I already know that you're going to see through all of my bullshit. So let's just whatever. But Avengers Twilight, I wasn't even going to read this, and I saw, I think it was Supreme Clientele show talk about it, and yeah, so I was like, okay, fine, I'm going to pick it up, and then I sat there, and I literally was one of those people that was like, this could really be something. And I have to sit there and I have to wonder, are we too saturated of a market right now for it really to seem as important as it could be? Or do we have enough people backing and getting behind this to be like, this is a really important piece. This could be, in the end of it, a really important piece to kind of like not only tell one of these really cool Dark Knight Returns-esque type stories, but for Captain America, but it also is kind of like a little look into how we are as a society and how some people feel that we're headed and fear that we're headed to that kind of society. I mean, we have stuff going on right now where they're trying to ban TikTok. They're trying to ban all these things because young people are getting their information from them. And it's the kind of stuff that happens in these kind of societies. So I think it's a really important piece that Chip Zdarsky and company are putting together here to be like, this could be a time capsule piece.
Yep.
And that's why I love it so much.
Absolutely. All right. Well said across the panel. Seems like we like Avengers Twilight. It has been very successful. People are getting behind it. It's got multiple printings. Keeps selling out at my shop, no matter how many of the multiple printings I order. A lot of people liking this book and hearing good things about it. Speaking of hearing good things, I hear great things about Easy Dick in the bedroom and outside of the bedroom. 9-panel grid. Why don't you tell us? I'm sorry, guys. It's like my ability to do segues goes away on the monthly review for some reason. But I'll try to get better. Eric, what's your
All right.
pick of the month?
Let's talk about Gaia this time. I loved this issue so much. What are we talking about? Issue 17 this month. This was an awesome issue. It was just action packed, and I love the fact that it takes place in the matter of like, I feel like it's like 22 pages within 30 seconds of what's going on. Wes Craig has just done something fantastic. Like if you followed his career, like I started reading, at the beginning of Deadly Class all the way through that, and you see him level up and like really change his artistry throughout that entire series. And when he's gotten to this book, I feel like he's taken it to like a totally different spectrum than he was even on Deadly Class. But I love the play on colors that's done in this book because it's like kind of bouncing back and forth. That 30-second span is kind of spent all underwater with our main character as there's this like, there's this cure that she's trying to get for her brother so he doesn't die, but it's kind of ping-ponging back and forth between the bright colors of like this fire that's happening in the city. It's just fantastic. It's like well-paced. It's not overly verbose. Like you're not bogged down with all of it. It could be a quick read if you don't let your eyes linger on it, but man, it's just such a gorgeous book, and it's been like just a fun adventure issue after issue after issue, and this one is particularly good.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous book. It is an amazing story. It's one of my favorite ongoing comics right now, and it is like a level that Wes Craig, I mean, his stuff on Deadly Class, he did that book. What was it? Gravediggers Union? Was that the name of that book that he did? Or maybe it was Graveyard Shift, something like that. It was all right. But man, what he's doing with Kaya right now is extremely special. And I am just so heartened that you have brought it up tonight, Eric, because usually it has to be me, because I feel like this book is very much underrated, underappreciated, undervalued, and underspoken about. I feel those same ways about Manny. Manny, why don't you tell us what you think of Kaya?
Kaya's good. Kaya's good. As somebody who never brings up Kaya or mentions Kaya in my 16 videos about this book on my channel, I would have to tell you that no, I dig it. I mean, tension's moving up. I feel like even if you only jumped in this arc, like you fall into this world head first and you kind of get it because it's quintessential. God, I'm gonna say quintessential again. Fucking A, thesaurus time. But it's fantasy, right? It's fantasy, like all in. You get it. It's a classic hero's journey tale. But I feel like if you're rewarded for having stuck with it for 17 issues because the character development and progression has gotten so good. It's like you look back on where you've been, you feel like you've gone on this massive journey through this realm because it just keeps building and building. And I love that the world, again, it's so many books nowadays, and I shouldn't even say this because Wes hasn't even hinted really at this except for one time when you saw a nuclear reactor in the background. So many books, like they really want to like hit you with this twist, like it was Earth all along, this Planet of the Apes bullshit. And he hasn't done that with this. He's maintained this fantasy world the entire freaking time. The artwork, like E was saying, is fantastic. It's deceiving because it's so freaking clean, but he uses so much hatching that it almost feels like it's gritty or messy, but it's not. It reads super clean, and all that extra texture and movement. It's really well done. Anyway, Kaya, it's a good read. Check it out.
Kaya's great. And the fact that Wes Craig's been able to keep up the schedule, keep this book coming out, and it's not a super huge seller. Right. So that means that like this is truly a passion project 100%. And I think that, I mean, I don't know. I don't want it to end, but when it does, it's going to make really good. I am starting to equate it with like something like Bone. I think it's up there with Bone. Something
Absolutely.
Like that. Honestly.
Yeah.
Carrie, you reading Kaya?
No, I am not. Do we have any trades out on that one?
It's like two? Yeah, two trades.
Okay, because I just recently got a library card for the first time in a while, and I've been really using that. And I'm going to try and look for this at the library.
Nice. You somehow managed to get around those library fees from your high school years, right?
Oh,
a lot of overdue Anne Rice books, I bet.
Not necessarily Anne Rice. But,
dude, I got one for the kids. Because I was like, oh, we're going to start going to the library on Fridays because I want to be a good dad and do that. And, dude, our first time through, I owed like $17. I was like, how the hell? I'm terrible at library cards. Just terrible.
I messed up my library card like a couple cities ago, right? And like my boyfriend, he's like, we have to not mess up our library cards again. He's like checking the library card, like checking all the library sites and everything. It's like, okay, we're gonna stay on top of this. Hell so yeah, he's my drill sergeant involving the library card. So we'll be okay.
I once paid a library $40 because I borrowed the Lit's one of Lit's albums back in the day, and I couldn't find it.
I have seen them live like years ago.
Oh really?
Yeah. I saw them in a really small venue in Peoria, Illinois. Huh. And that venue is no longer there, but the memories.
Well, it seems like when it comes to library cards, Carrie and Manny are their own worst enemies.
Oh, we just told you why.
Nick, what do you think of Kaya? You reading it?
I'm not, actually. I need to. We talk about it every friggin' month.
We're not going to shame you for that, but you're a bad comic book YouTuber.
I'm a bad YouTuber. I'll take it. I've been called worse. No, the only thing I can think about when you're talking about library cards and overdue books is what was his name, Bookman on Seinfeld. So I was like, this Bookman guy is gonna like bust into your place and start drilling you on overdue library books. So
I'm Bookman.
The library cop's name is Bookman. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that. This shit was funny as hell. All right, Manny, what's your pick of the month?
Oh snap! I don't know. Let's go with Helena Windhorn, issue number 2. I think. Yeah, why not? That's as good a pick as any. Amazing art with Billquist Everly, giving us something that's it feels like it's art that feels exactly like it was tailor made for the story. It's kind of like Robbie always says with like Martin Simmons and being able to like make his art fit the story. Like this art feels like it was tailor made for this specific story. So I don't even know if they could do anything different, but if they can't, they should continue to do this because that art is amazing. But story wise, I dug it. I love that. One, you get this exploration of grief, of course, and trauma, which is in my video. I won't go into that much too much tonight, but you also it's so relatable on so many levels. Like when you look at the character of the governess taking care of Helen, like we've had friends that are in pits of depression and grief and they're sad, and it's like you feel the governess's desire to want to pull Helen out of that, but you also relate to Helen, and you also relate to this giant barbarian grandfather she has that hardly says anything, but when he does speak, especially when the governess confronts him on the death of his son, like you feel that the weight of that, like this idea that your own restlessness and your own drunkenness and your own unsettledness passed on to your kid, and your kid is now dead, and like your reaction to your granddaughter following the same thing is, well, I was in the drink all day when I was her age and I turned out fine. Like there's just this really interesting thing about generational I don't know, vices that gets passed down in that book. And even the fantasy portion of it, because of the way it's framed with the governess, the fantasy portions, the governess is like, I don't know, I'm not from America. For all I know, there are giant werewolf bat looking things and those little Pokemon things. Maybe those are right. Or maybe she's absolutely right and those fantastical elements aren't actually there, and it's just something that they're clinging to, this fantasy that they can live this rough and tumble life and ride the rails and be larger than life, and this family's living in that and using that as a crutch, as an excuse, as a way to deal with things. I don't know, there's just something interesting about the story, and the artwork is fantastic, and it's Tom King, and this is like the best way for Tom King to do Tom King, because he can use as much he can have us languish in word hell, as I like to say about Tom King, and we're there for it because it has this classic literary Edgar Allan Poe type quality where you can just get away with spewing a ton of words and dialogue, and it just fits. So yeah, great book, Helena Windhorn, issue number 2.
I liked Helena Windhorn, issue number 2. I loved issue number 1. Issue number 2, I got a couple of little nitpicks, right? One was the other story that's set somewhere in the future about the dude who's like researching this and all that. I felt like that kind of is detracting from the story, right? Now, I know that there's a plan for that. I trust that Tom King's got a plan. There's going to be something that comes up out of this. And then watching Damien's video talking about it actually brought this to my attention, but it was kind of annoying to have the reveal of the dad in the fantasy, or the grandfather in the fantasy world, and then step so far back again and not like go back into that. You know what I'm saying? And Tom King I would accuse him at times of kind of stretching things out. And that's a tactic to stretch something out, like big reveal, step back, and then slowly get back to where the point where we already felt like we were. But I don't know. I still like the book, and it's gorgeous. Everly's artwork is absolutely fantastic. Carrie, what do you think about Helena Windhorn?
I'm not reading it, but some of the things you guys are saying, like we've come to that point again once a year where you guys bring stuff up that I'm not reading, and I just have to go out and find it because you say stuff like Edgar Allan Poe, and you say Poe things, and looks. I think Stu is talking about it in the chat where he's talking about Wuthering Heights. Like, is this like Wuthering Heights, guys? because
Oh no, I never read that one. So
I believe that's what
I'm
was.
glad you said it, Robbie, because I was like, God, I
Yeah.
don't want to sound like the dumb guy.
that
Is
was
something
never on my
does that require
assigned reading. I read Ethan Frome,
It
but
didn't
I
come out
haven't
this
read
month, so
No.
like,
But
like
after the Supergirl book came out, I believe that Tom King went to the artist and was like, "Hey, like, pitch me something. What do you want to draw, and I'll write for it." And that's what she said.
yep.
okay, so I'm gonna have to check this out because Wuthering Heights, gothic romantic type stuff, gothic stuff, Edgar Allan Poe. You guys are speaking my language here, so I'm gonna have to look into that. It is a bit like Wuthering Heights. Okay, all right.
Of course,
Okay.
Damien's read Wuthering Heights. Right. What about you,
Guys,
Nick?
guys,
What do you
it's
think of
much-
Wuthering Heights?
It's much easier to watch Wuthering Heights than it is to read it. So I recommend any of the movie versions, in particular the one with Juliette Binoche.
They made a movie out of it.
Hmm.
I love this book. It's so good. Like I understand the criticism of the pacing changing. You needed that hook at the end of issue number 1 because it was very verbose. There was a grand story they're trying to tell you, and that just made sense to happen there. I don't mind the step back, honestly, because the characters are just so damn fun to hear them talk and to like explore this house and this world. And there's so many questions, and you can see Helen like flipping back into her vices, kind of coming back out of them, maturing a little bit. Grandfather's interactions were very small, few and far between. Sometimes they were super energetic and like, and then he would disappear for like a month or whatever in the story. So like, I don't mind that at all. I like all the little subtleties in this book too. She has some kind of latent ability, and it's no doubt has to do with the family. There's a moment where she's running, right? She like sees something and she's running down the property, and the governess, the caretaker lady, she was like unnaturally fast. Like something's going on there, something that she couldn't quite explain. And I think as we go forward, we're gonna see these latent abilities kind of like blossom, right? And it's gonna be really cool. Grandfather obviously knows there's some potential there. He's bringing her on. He's obviously grieving. Many mentioned, seeing your child die, and then seeing the granddaughter kind of falling into those same pits. He's going to tag her along, educate her. It's going to be a great story. And I think you're right. I think this is when King shines. It's in a book like this, and I'm totally down for it.
Yeah, absolutely. What about you, E? What are you thinking about Helena Windhorn?
So Tom King traditionally has not been my cup of tea. It's like really hard for me to get into his books, but I think that Bilquist like does the heavy lifting of where I see his weaknesses. Like you talked about the time jumps, right? And how it could be a little bit disjarring and you don't know where they're going to be taking it. I think her artwork, and specifically like the parallels that she draws, where you see like the two sleeping in bed and then it shifts over to the person listening to the recordings and their partner. I think she's kind of really just picking up where he's maybe not lifting up his own weight. And for that reason, like, I don't know. Yeah, I thought this was an excellent book. I thought it was actually better than the first issue, in my opinion. It did kind of, scale back on that pace, but I'm okay with that because I'm along for the ride anyway. We didn't see any of those fantastical creatures all throughout issue 1. And that just proved to me I didn't need them to begin with. So when they show up, that's going to be even better.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
Good points across the board.
I like that framing, jumping around in the timeline, because it thematically fits with this idea that it's a story about stories. The writer's writing about the father. She's worried about not having any of his books. The writer in the future is worried that because he didn't tell the governess's story, that no one will be around to tell it. Like there's just this kind of idea of the importance of stories. I kind of dug that.
Yeah.
Okay. Word. That reframes it a little bit for me. Makes me think a little bit of Sandman. Not to compare Tom King to Neil Gaiman. We're nowhere near close to that yet on this channel. Okay. We may compare him to George Orwell, or he may compare himself to, but it is what it is. Helena Windhorn, though, good book so far.
Yeah.
Tom King I think he had a bad 2023. I think he's having a good 2024. That's me personally, for the most part. Didn't hurt that I met him. Seemed okay.
Isn't it an over every other year thing with Tom King though? Like 2022, Human Target, banger, right? And then like 2023, he starts Wonder Woman, and I really enjoy it, but I know some people are back and forth on it. And now 2024, he's going to have a banger year again.
Well, maybe. I think the big thing is he does so many projects that some of them definitely will not live up to par, right? And then I think still for the most part, he's got more good work than he's got bad work, in my opinion, to be honest. So even the stuff that I don't like, I liked until a certain point. Like Rorschach, I loved it until the third act. Those last 4 issues of Rorschach made it, to me, an absolute atrocious piece of fucking shit. Right? But, that's just me. But, whatever. I thought it was brilliant until we got to that part. But anyway, Carrie, what's your pick of the month?
You know what, guys? I'm going to break tradition here. Normally my pick of the month is another Tom King book. And it's sitting here. Just spoiler alert. But I recently discovered a new universe, and that would be the Unnamed Universe. And Ghost Machine Redcoat. I wasn't even going to read this. Another one. Wasn't even going to read it. And it got really pushed to me. Yeah, it got really pushed on me by other members of the community. A really awesome interview done of Jeff Johns and some of the other creators done by Mark on Legion of Comics channel with this release. My boyfriend Joe was sitting there like, you got to read this. Like, you didn't read Geiger before. You got to read this now. And he's like, in this Redcoat thing, it's one of my faves. Redcoat is really great. You got to read it. So I read all 3 of them, and Redcoat is my standout for that one. Because I like cocky bastards. And Redcoat, cocky bastard. And it also helps that, like, I keep on, my boyfriend isn't into cosplay, but I keep on like finding different characters for him to cosplay. And it helps that Redcoat has long hair like him and like the mutton chop sideburns. So I want to convince him to cosplay Redcoat.
Nice. We need pictures when that happens, Carrie.
If it happens. He is not into cosplay all that much, but like he's like, that might be fun. But like this book is really great. I love historical comedy type of stuff. And you got this guy that because of coming across a ancient ceremony that was originally supposed to be for Ben Franklin, he ends up becoming immortal. And it's his adventures through that. And he is basically a cocky bastard that, runs around, keeps on getting himself killed.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it was a good idea that they released all 3 in the same day, right?
Mm-hmm.
But the problem for me was when they released all 3 in the same day, I read all 3 and I'm comparing all 3 to each other, right? And Redcoat was the one I thought was the weakest of the 3. That's just me, right? I know a lot of people liked it. Damien really liked it. You really like it. A lot of people here really like it. I just felt like that. I love those type of characters too, Carrie. I didn't feel like Jeff had nailed that character yet, right? But I did enjoy it. I do love American history, especially of this time, 18th, 19th century. I love that kind of stuff. If your boyfriend does do a Redcoat cosplay, make sure you don't do it in the New England area. He might get tarred and feathered. I feel like they're still a little bit testy up there. Anyway,
still hold a grudge.
Yeah, still holding a grudge. They like Lipton is like, we can't sell tea in New England. They just keep throwing it in the fucking ocean.
He used to live there, so I'll have to defer to him on what.
Well, I think you're better wearing a red coat instead of like, say, a Lakers jersey or something. But aside from that, I thought it was all right. I did enjoy it. I want to reread it before the second one comes out. But I think Ghost Machine as a whole is such a great idea. They were like they doubled retailers' orders at no additional cost. Like if you ordered 50, they gave you 100. If you ordered 200, they gave you 400. Like they were really pushing it. Plus, like if you weren't getting like the incentives, they were returnable. So you were able to order big to begin with. And then on issue 2, they're like, if you match or exceed your orders, it's returnable. So like they're doing the practices necessary. Jeff Johns is putting his money up, right? Because this is an Image comic. This means this is funded, right? And he's putting this money up and knowing that he's betting on himself. And the rumors are that DC's fucking with his Justice Society schedule because of this
Really?
and trying to make him look bad or something like that, right? Because like, oh, he's the late one or whatever. But none of these Ghost Machine books have really been late. And these are artists and writers that sometimes are notoriously late, right? But it's been planned out. Launch of it was really cool. It had a slow build up with a few really good titles like Junkyard Joe and Geiger already. So I am all here for it. Nick, what do you think about Red Coat? And lead the rest of the panel along, please.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. I liked all three. I'm totally in on the Ghost Machine universe, though, so I'm a little bit biased. I mean, they can put pretty much anything out, and I just love the creative teams and the stories they've been putting together so far. Brian Hitch is doing a hell of a job on the art in this book too. What I really like is like the montage of deaths and
Yes.
his reaction to that. Like he doesn't learn anything. Like he's not learning lessons and like becoming a better person over time. He's like reliving the exact same mistakes, putting himself back in the same situations, which lead to him waking up in a shallow grave, popping his head out and having another gun to his head immediately. So it's like his mentality is just funny. It's funny to give that kind of a person that kind of a power. And I think that's going to be.
It also reminds me a lot, the characterization reminds me a lot of Constantine.
Of course.
Constantine, which is another one I really love. So.
Yeah, of course. So it's going to be fun to see his arc. It's going to be fun to see how he gets from like this selfish, doesn't learn from past mistakes, but has this great opportunity to do some good. It's going to be really cool. And I remember at the end of this issue, he teams up with another famous historical figure, and so it's going to be kind of fun to see what their collaboration looks like and like how they're going to change this world. So yeah, I'm all for it. Eric, man, I know you read this one. What'd you think about this?
I did. I almost skipped out on all the Ghost Machine books. I was just like, I just don't know if I'm in on this. Jeff Johns, he's another writer. Like, he's been a little hit and miss for me personally, but I loved this book, man. It was my favorite of the Ghost Machine books. So I'm right there with you, Carrie. This was so fantastic. We don't need another Chris Pratt movie by any means, but come on, he would be perfect for the main character in this because it's basically just Peter Quill in the Revolutionary War. That's all I picked up from this. But like more than any other book this month, like I just had a smile on my face from like the first page all the way through the last. Like every weird thing that came up with all of the historical characters, I was just like, really? Oh, come on. No, him? No, it can't be that. It was just like a super fun ride. So I'm definitely like sticking around for the long run on this.
Yeah, and I think they said that this is going to be an ongoing, right, Robbie? I think Geiger was ongoing. This is ongoing, if I'm not mistaken. And Rook was the only one that was kind of like, we're going to figure it out as we keep going.
Yeah, I think so. Now they're all going to take gaps in between story arcs, right? That way they can keep everything on time. But I do believe that's the only these are going to continue on. Rook's the only one that's going to Rook Exodus, Rook Genesis, Rook Leviticus, Rook Deuteronomy, Rook Numbers. You know, those Rook Joshua.
Rook Joshua, yeah.
Yeah, Rook Judges.
Yeah. So
Manny, what are you thinking about? Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna do my stupid transition real quick. We're talking about Red Coat. What does the Red Hood have to say about this one? Manny, Red Hoodie, what do you got?
I like it. That was good, Nick. Oh my goodness, I like that one.
It really worked out better than the Purple Rain monstrosity we had earlier.
Sorry.
I chose violence on this Wednesday by saying if you liked Red Coat more than Rook Exodus, we couldn't be friends anymore. I couldn't stick to that because both Damien and Eric were like, fuck you then, and I was like, all right, fine, I'll bring you guys back into the fold. No, Red Coat was good. I liked Red Coat a lot. The premise is intriguing. The historical time that it's set in is interesting. The magic is interesting, and it lasts for like 2 pages. At the end of the day, this is just, like I said in my review, Jack Sparrow. And Jack Sparrow is a great character when he was tethered to Orlando Bloom and Keira Knightley. As soon as he took the franchise on by himself, those films declined. I worry long run, can a fairly one-dimensional character carry us all the way through? I mean, you have the emotional resonance and impact of books like Geiger, like Junkyard Joe. Is this guy in the unnamed universe, does he fit in that to carry his own book? I think he'd be a great character to have with those guys as a counter, as that roguish character, but does he fit to be in that same conversation. I don't know. I don't know yet. So I wish there was a little bit more of the magic. I wish that it would have taken more time in the revolution rather than jumping forward 100 years like right away. But that's just nitpicks on me. It's not my creative vision. It's not my story. So I hope that Jeff Johns can pull it off. So
we're definitely building up to a crossover, with the War of the Unnamed, the Unknown War, or something like that, right?
Mhm.
And we've already seen where they're building a team out of these people, right? And the reason why Jeff Johns is so confident in betting on himself in this project is he got some of the best artists of the last 20 years working on these titles. He's got a whole layout. He's going to have a presence in shops because he's offering returnability. He's making sure his books are out there and seen, and somebody's going to buy this whole universe. Somebody's going to be like $1 billion, not $1 billion, but somebody's going to give him a lot of money for this. You know what I'm saying?
Isn't Geiger already optioned?
I don't know.
I think Geiger's optioned.
We should ask Ryan and Tom. I bet they would know.
Ryan, Tom, are you out there in the chat lurking?
No. Crashdown didn't come out this month, right? So they're not going to.
Thank goodness. I'm like looking at my stack like, shit, if he shows up, I don't know.
Wait, did it come out? I think it did come out. This was the week issue, though. Like, the art was like, the art was really weak.
Did it come out today?
Not
No,
today.
it came out like 3 weeks ago or
3
at
weeks
the
ago.
beginning of the month or something.
Story's getting better, though. In case they are here.
One more issue.
Yeah. I'm just kidding.
I don't know how they're going to wrap it up in one more issue. Honestly, I'm going to be real with you.
Frogs are going to fall from the sky. Captain America's going to give a big speech, and it's going to be over. That's what's going to happen.
They're going to drop the H-bomb.
I mean, I'm interested to see though from the first issue where I was kind of like meh. I mean, I kept with it, and I was just like, let's see what happens now.
I'm so excited. Nobody picked my favorite comic of the month. It pays to be nice and let you guys go first, and then be like, wow, nobody picked mine. Y'all must not like my favorite as much. But mine's also a Ghost Machine book. It's Rook, Exodus, #1. I'm looking at it, and there's some good stuff out this month. Overall, not the strongest month overall. But this one really, it sold me. I think this book was so amazing. I had a number of people who had never read Geiger, never read Junkyard Joe, come into the shop. They see all the Ghost Machine books. I mean, it's dominating like half the fucking rack over there, right? Because it's just all this Ghost Machine stuff, right? And people are like paying attention. They open it up. They get into it. I had a bunch of people add it. A bunch of people be like, oh man, give me all these Ghost Machine books. They all connect, right? I'm like, no. Rook Exodus does not connect to Geiger, Junkyard Joe, or Redcoat or anything like that. And they're like, well, I want every issue of Geiger and Red and Junkyard Joe. Do you have them? Like, no, we sold out like a year ago.
Right.
Like, I got the trades. Like, I want the issue. So it's bringing, this is also generating excitement. Maybe not as much as say the Energon universe or the Ultimate universe or something like that, but it's generating excitement. And Rook Exodus was a part of that, like the biggest part of that, at least in my shop and at least to me. Jason Fabek's artwork was freaking the best I had ever seen from this cat, right? And I love this dude's art. When he was doing like Batman stuff and then he did 3 Jokers, he did some other things here and there. But holy cow, this book, there's not a line out of place, and it doesn't feel like it's cutting corners. There's no like empty backgrounds. There's no like cheap shortcuts to get a storytelling part done or something like that. It's just, it's all just so meticulously rendered through line. Coloring, it does lean a little bit into the orange side of things, but it still feels clear enough to me because that line is so crisp and detailed and just, it never feels cluttered. You know what I'm saying? It's like an Atomo type thing where there's a lot of lines there, a lot of detail, but it never like feels like it's just like everything's competing. Everything just feels so perfect. This world, the world building in this issue through the visuals into the actual storytelling, the characters, the idea of it, it is very like primordial in a sense, right? Where it's all about totems and it's all about archetypes and also toyetic as fuck, right? Like I'm sitting here like, oh man, he's got a pig mask, you got a raven mask, a wolf mask, like this is just so freaking awesome. It's a great idea, an incredibly imagined world, a great paced and delivered first issue, and some of the best Jim Lee-esque artwork I've seen in the modern day. Like this, if Jim Lee and Scott Williams, if that happened today, it would look like Rook Exodus, 100%. Even with all the oranges that it's the same thing. They threw all those oranges in Wildcats, so why not? But no, I think that Rook Exodus was phenomenal. What'd you think, Nick?
Yeah, I loved it too. I think you spoke to all of its strengths beautifully. I mean, it's about the world building and kind of the characters secondary living in this world. I thought he did a great job of just like portraying how messed up this world is and why people need to escape it. And I liked the idea that they came to this place originally promised a haven, and they had to take up certain roles in the society, right? And one of the roles was kind of like working with the animal population, and they have a really cool way of like managing that, and they're using it to their advantage in this like after society kind of time frame. And it's kind of turning on them because resources are becoming thin, so that there's a lot of reasons to escape this planet. And I think they're doing a great job. On an interview with Fabok, he said that if they ever wanted to make this a movie, he wanted to make sure it would cost like $300 million to make it because of the landscape that he put together. Like, there's just no way you could do this on a budget, right? So like, I feel like he's approaching this the right way. The characters are interesting. I like how he's going through these giant structures, trying to like find resources, and he's Xing out the doors with spray paint, and you can see the hallway of X's, just giving you a sense of time and just like how dedicated this guy is to just get wasted every night and find that alcohol or find whatever it is because he's in a shitty situation. He's trying to climb back out of it. And God, the character design is incredible in this book too. So like great world building, a little bit more character development, I think, is needed there. Great character design. Yeah, I'm all for the entire universe. So any one of those three books could have made the second round for sure.
Hell yeah. What about you, E? What do you think?
Dude, I think Nick said it perfectly right there too. I mean, any one of the three books could have made the second round for sure. I think this was a good, not great book for me. Like Fabek was like, he was arguably the best artist among the three books that came out. I really love what he did on this. It was the best rendered looking book. But yeah, like Robbie, you said, like, I feel like the book was just brown and orange, and like I needed something big and bold to like really just pull me in. The other thing that didn't really get me is like I wanted a hook. Like I talked to crows, I talked to pigs. That's fun. I like that, and they look great. But like I wanted that hook. Like it needed like maybe 3 more pages at the end to tell me it's like, okay, we got to either stay on this planet or get off, and here's how we're going to do it. I needed that here's how we're going to do it part to really get me. But I'm sure we're going to get that in the next step issue.
The hook was the guy that said, I talked to bears. That was your hook.
You're like, there's a bear dude.
There's a bear guy.
Another toy I gotta buy.
Bears survive in space. Got it. That's how they're getting off
that
the
was
planet.
the hook. Yeah.
Speaking of bears being the hook in their lives, what about you, Manny? What are you thinking?
This was my favorite of the 3 Ghost Machine books. I absolutely loved that. I loved falling into this world, and it works. It's very sci-fi, but it's also very superhero. The whole thing was just awesome. I love the book. As far as coloring goes, man, Brad Anderson had to color every one of these damn things, and he's like, he had to sit there and think, how does this look different than Geiger? You know what I mean? That's not easy to do.
Well, and the thing is, Brad Anderson is not a slouch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so, like, I honestly think that this is a part of the atmosphere of this world to show us that it's like hot, it's burning, it's dying, right? Yeah.
Well, and he did a really good job. Like every time Rook goes below ground or indoors, the clarity of the line, everything comes across. So you feel dusty when you see the outside stuff. Like he did a really good job, I think, with his colors and his shades.
Yeah, we bitch about orange and brown in comic books, but like Dune gets a fucking way with it. Come on, y'all. Let's be honest.
You know what the fucked up thing is too? Is that like if you watch any of my reviews, they're terrible. But if you ever watch them, I constantly am like, it's that fucking orange and brown shit. I say that all the time, but when it's a book I like, the shill in me is like, no, he did a great job. He made you feel, but again, just look at the contrast in the book. When you go to the flashbacks at the farm, when he's underground welding, any of those times in the book, there's the way he's coloring and lighting the coloring really shines and really affects the clarity of the image, and I think it really enhances the storytelling. So Brad Anderson, I love you, brother. Don't let these guys get under your skin, man. I think you did a fantastic job.
I can imagine Anderson, Gary Frank, Brian Hitch, and Jason Fabek being like, how many fucking pages, bro? Like, imagine Brad like being like, I gotta color how many pages this month, motherfucker? Like, are you kidding me? Like, okay,
It's a thick
well, you
boy.
let me know when
Thick
Netflix
boy.
calls because I'm expecting some compensation.
It's a thick one.
What's the page rate on a book like this, man? That's insane.
I don't know. You think
A lot.
who knows? Who knows? I mean, that's up to Jeff, right?
Dude,
Maybe
Jeff got them all working for fucking equity. You know what I mean? He's like, you got 6
maybe.
points on the book.
maybe that is what it is, because like, here's the thing, like he pulled a lot of these dudes away from DC, right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
DC, from what I hear, has a little bit better of a page rate right now than Marvel typically
The
does.
Marvel does, yeah.
But when you hit a certain level, like Gary Frank, Brian Hitch, Jason Fabek, they're not getting like the jobbers out there. They're not getting those pay rates, right?
Yeah,
They're getting,
$400 a page or something.
but I guarantee you that a royalty is a big enticement to this.
Yeah.
Because especially with the idea that it's returnable. I mean, I don't know what the final numbers were on the first issues, but I'm sure they're over 100,000. So that's a good paycheck for somebody sharing royalties. And then when it does get sold to somebody, it doesn't even have to be fucking made. Just selling it
Just
to
option
a
it.
production studio, just is going
Yeah,
to make
these people will
these people
buy the rights just to be like, okay, we're gonna see if we can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. They bought Descender the day that first issue came out. Nothing's going to happen
Right.
to that. But Jeff Lemire got a good check. So did Dustin Nguyen, right? So
Well, I think the whole Ghost Machine mantra was like, we all win, right? Because if anything gets optioned, they all get a piece of that pie, regardless of whether you worked on that book or not. If you're Ghost Machine, you get
interesting.
something. So
Word.
if this hits, everyone hits. If that hits, still everyone hits.
You know,
So
good for them. For
yeah, I
figuring
think
that out.
that's like a comic book co-op. It's kind of an awesome idea.
hell yeah. If only they would move down to Florida and make everybody all live in the same apartment complex. It'd be like CrossGen all over again.
Oh my gosh.
Speaking of CrossGen, Carrie,
Yeah?
what do you think about Rook Exodus? You a big CrossGen fan? Mystic seems like up your alley, in my opinion. But
No.
I digress.
I'm gonna just kind of highlight the art a little bit more. Kind of when Robbie was talking, I threw this puppy up right here. This was when he said not a wasted line, he meant it. This is if you haven't picked up Rook, this is what we're talking about right here. And another thing that I really loved was right here. I grew up not an hour away from this town. And it was like I'm sitting there, and that's actually despite the art being what it was actually kind of moving a little slow to me. Up until that point, I was like, oh, he's a Central Illinois boy. Okay, and he's a farm boy. Okay, now I'm reading. Now I'm into this. But I love how like the difference in color and everything like that, kind of like I think what Manny was talking about between this time period, this place, and where he is now, and the unsettling look of Exodus versus what the farm looks like to him. The farm is home. And he wants to go home. He wants to go someplace where he can experience that again. This is kind of what, it's the, but what worries me for this character is that even in existence anymore? And I'm sure we're probably going to find out that it doesn't even exist. I mean, as it comes to his farm, we know if we read it, we know what happened to the farm.
Yeah.
But he's looking to try to find that again, and it's probably going to be pretty tragic for him.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was loving that those cityscapes. Oh my God, that was gorgeous. Well done. Beautiful art. I want a kitty mask. I want to know who does the kitty mask, because I want to wear it all the time.
Hell yeah. All right. So that is round one. Now it's time to start round two. Nick, why don't you tell us what's your second pick that you want to highlight and then carry the conversation through?
Man, I'm looking at like there's so many books that probably deserve a second round pick. Let's talk about Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, issue number 5 by Patrick Horvath. This was a really great issue because we have our main character Sam, who's basically got her back up against the wall right now. She's been extremely confident her entire life in living this like split life, right? She's like a serial killer that has this itch. She doesn't kill where she sleeps. She's going off in the distance and taking care of business, coming back home and living in this lie, right? And she's got the whole place fooled. There is a competing serial killer who somewhat idolizes Sam in a way, tries to get on her radar, tries to get her attention, does so in a very dramatic way. And the last few issues, we've been trying to figure out who this person is inside the town. We recently got that revelation of who it was. And now there's this like rejection that Sam gave this person, right? Like, I work alone kind of a thing. How dare you bring this into this town, into my life? And what's really great about this one is Sam's kind of on the back foot, right? Like, she doesn't quite know what to do. She's in the targets of like local authorities. Everyone's hunting her down because of this denial that she gave this person. This book right here, I mean, you couldn't paint more like, I don't know, introspective revelations. I don't know. Like, she's on the run right now, reliving all the flaws, reliving the demons. She's literally and like figuratively going into the cave. She's seeing her reflection. She's dealing with that emotion. There's at one point like literally a bag of snakes that opens up inside of her, like revealing all the deepest, darkest, worst parts of her. She's watching death firsthand from this other attack in the wilderness. So I think what she's doing is she's kind of reminding herself or realizing how twisted she is inside potentially, and how she just needs to kind of like own that and get back out in front of this thing, right? And that's exactly what we're doing inside this issue. Towards the end, we're no longer on the run. We're taking things, we're just heading forward right now. We're arming up and we're getting ready for war. And I just love that twist halfway through the book of how she was kind of like on the retreat, and now she's on the attack, man. So really well executed. We talked about the art every single issue, but like, I really like the turn in this book. So Beneath the Trees Nobody Sees, outstanding issue. And I'm so sad to see this book leave, man. So sad. Eric, man, I know you're reading this one.
Ooh,
what do you think about this?
I've actually been silently boycotting this book until you and Carrie start reading Kaya. So luckily my library card is up to date. I owe 0, so I'll catch up on it.
You haven't been reading this one.
Read Kaya. This is on you, dude, not me.
You fucking library card shaming.
I got my library card.
All right. So you're not reading this one. Manny, I'm going to make another giant assumption and say that you're reading this one because I know you are.
I've never even heard of this book, Nick.
Shut the fuck. Carrie, what do you
No, this was good. This was what did you call it?
What did I
What's
call
the name
it?
of the book? Yeah, what's the name of the book?
Beneath. It's another one of those like sentence long freaking
Beneath the
things.
trees
like,
where nobody sees. Right?
Oh yeah, that was a book that came out, and I
Bueller, man.
I loved this book. I had the pleasure of being on Supreme Clientele in the last issue, and I thought that the way it was building, especially in the nightmare sequence, seeing that all the other animals were anthropomorphic except for the bears, and then in this again, just that exploration of true nature and who you are, and being who you are, understanding that you are a predator. It's weird because you're rooting for a serial killer. You're rooting for someone to live their most authentic life, which includes dissecting people and putting them in paint cans. Like it's weird, but it works. It works. It's like this entire Samantha thing. Like there's in this book when she goes to the cave that Nick was talking about, and her fucking head pops off and it's full of like cartoon snakes. Like there's something about this, like the entire facade of a bear trying to be a human and denying their nature is almost a joke in this. You know what I mean? She has to put that fake head back on, pushing all these cartoon snakes. There's like an absurdity to it. That I really enjoyed. And again, it keeps, despite thematically what it might be saying or philosophically what it might be saying, it keeps with the assignment of giving us a serial killer story. This would not be out of place as a slasher flick with human characters. It works on so many levels. I absolutely loved Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. Solid pick, Nick.
Yeah. It's been a great been a great series just watching her react to the situation that she's in, because in the first issue we're totally in control, and I just love that I don't know, that like seed of doubt that gets planted in her, and it kind of like it just spins her out of control. You know what I mean? And this is the issue where we're finally like regaining that self-esteem, regaining that control again. And it's just it's such a cool way to do it. Like metaphorically, in this book, you literally see it happening, but like it's just riddled with metaphor, and I think it was handled really well. Carrie, are you reading this one?
No.
I know. No.
No, this
All right.
is not what I'm reading. So I'm not clear about something. Okay. Maybe I totally missed it in the description that you guys are talking about. Manny said something about that this could be done with humans. This is not a human serial killer book.
Anthropomorphic serial. Yeah. So imagine a Richard Scarry book. If you remember Richard Scarry,
Okay.
did like the dissections of different landscapes and cities, and you see all these little bunnies, and you see these bears all coexisting, wearing top hats and coats and driving little cars. Lowly Worm, whatever. It's that kind of a artistic style, but there's like a Dexter element to it. So our main character Sam is a hardware store owner. She's really well known in this very small town. Everybody knows everybody, but she has a twisted serial killer side of her that, in order to like exercise that, she leaves town, does her killings there. She doesn't shit where she eats, right? So like when she comes back into town, she's living this second life, and now she's up against the wall being attacked by like another serial killer, and she's trying to figure out all that.
Ooh.
So yeah, she's having to like deal with
killer.
somebody else messing in her turf, right? And so now we're on the run leading into this issue, but this is the issue where we kind of try to gain back control.
I recently read a book, like regular novel that is called Butcher and Blackbird, which it's two serial killers falling in love. But something about like, is there any like comedic element to it at all, or?
I wouldn't say it relies heavily on any kind of specific comedic moments. No, I think it's more. I think the circumstance and the characters in general, and the just the habit, just like the world that we built, adds a little bit of levity to the story to begin with. But there's certainly not like one-liners or zingers or something like that I can really recall.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just a weird combination of themes that makes the book
And
feel
we've
different than anything.
How many issues deep this is?
This is 5. I think we have one more, right?
Okay.
Yeah, one more. This was the penultimate issue.
Yeah, Sheena knows the book.
Yeah. It's so good though. Robbie, man, what are you thinking about Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees, issue number 5?
Bro, you know I'm loving this movie. I mean, this book. You know I'm loving this book. I think it's absolutely fantastic, as we've talked about for months here on the channel. This was only 2 issues deep. And when we did Chris's show over at Lost in Comics for the best of last year, we were talking about this book. It is written impeccably well. The dialogue, the pacing of that dialogue, they're all little animals, and it's got that cute element, but you could pull that off with just like, this could be like, it could be drawn by somebody who does like a noirish style. It could be done by any kind of art style, as long as they're capable of telling the story, because the script is so freaking solid. The art is masterful. It is incredibly well done. I was a little concerned in the last issue that once we revealed who the other killer was, that we were kind of like going into a territory where it wasn't going to work. But this was a very psychedelic issue that I absolutely was all here for, brother. Great pick. Yep.
Absolutely. All right. So that was me. Eric, man, you want to get into your next pick, dude? What's your next one for round 2?
Oh, I'm debating between one and another here. I'm going to go with the book I don't actually have physically with me right now, but I want to talk about Traveling to Mars, issue 11. We very honestly needed a support group chat built off of this book, because
we totally did it too.
It was heartbreaking. I like had so many emotions and feelings every single issue, but the way that this ending was like just beautiful. The character, like going throughout the entirety of the series, it just had so many revelations about himself and the life that he led, and the choices that, not that the choices that he did make, but the choices he didn't make, and how it's led to this point. And he's been kind of misled through this mission, and he knows, I mean, he's got hours to live at this point, and he gets to make this beautiful last choice, right? This ending of his being that's going to make a lasting mark. And it was just I don't know. It was just gorgeous. I'm getting goosebumps again talking about the book. It was just a fantastic read, and I loved it so much. Like you guys talked about Beneath the Trees being something that's going to be a contender for Book of the Year. I think Traveling to Mars is going to be right in that same conversation.
Yeah, and Traveling to Mars with what was it, 11 issues? There wasn't a single weak issue in that entire run either, which is so hard to do in 11. Because usually you get 2 or 3 scattered in there that you're like, okay, he just put it out just to buy some time. Maybe the art needs to catch up. Maybe he just didn't know what to do with the story. He didn't know how to progress for 11 issues. But this was not the case in this series right here. And for those who don't know the basic premise of the book, basically, Earth is going to shit. Resources are dwindling really fast. There's supposed to be Curiosity or whatever the equivalent rover on Mars is at that time in this universe, sends back data to Earth that there is resources there that can be harvested, and essentially they'll save humanity. So all the corporations around the world are pooling resources and trying to send out people to plant that flag, right? Because if you plant the flag, you own the resources. If you own the resources, you basically own the money. You own all the money, and you can rule the world. So people just keep trying to find these different candidates to go on this one-way trip to plant that flag. And this whole series follows the guy Roy and his life story and his journey and the lessons learned that he has. And Mark Russell does a great job of applying whatever life lesson he's reminiscing on to the current situation he's in while traveling to Mars, and when he lands and dealing with the hostile environment and the different life forms that he finds there. So just beautifully poetic book for sure. Yep. Manny, you reading this one?
I am. This was a tearjerker type of freaking issue for sure. The speech was good. I don't know why when it came up I thought maybe it was gonna like veer comedic or something. It doesn't. It's so raw and so real. The entire time he's doing it. Even like when he is self-deprecating, like critiquing his speech, it's still poignant. I don't know. There's something really cool in this particular issue. I mean, this thematically, this book has been freaking nuts, right? Corporate greed, mortality. There's been so many themes throughout running, but this one here about disposable rovers finding a place in the world and a legacy to live on. It's like this disposable frickin' redneck who was sent to Mars because he was disposable finds his purpose. He finds his meaning through it all. Like there's a recognition of the what do you want to say? Futility, the futility of existence, but embracing it. It's very Camus, you know what I mean? In terms of just philosophically. So it works. I dug it. I loved it. And it did. It made me cry just a little bit. A lot, but I liked it.
And there was a few issues that did that too. Like this guy, his actions throughout his life, he's not a likable guy in a lot of ways. He's made a lot of mistakes and he owns up to them. And it was really, it was really touching to see how he just kind of evolves over that time. And he also struggles with permanence, like Manny was saying too. Like, what's your legacy? What are you going to pass on? And he struggles with that too. And he finds a way to maybe pass on his story or his lessons learned, whatever it might be, to whatever might find these relics that are left behind right after he passes and stuff. So it's like, it's a great story all around. Carrie, are you reading Traveling to Mars?
No, I am not, but I found it on Hoopla.
Well, there you go.
That's how I did. Burn through it. It's such an easy read, and it is worthwhile.
Yeah. The library. Okay. Yeah. Just that's going to be me. Like the library. All the
you gotta
time.
get it. That's your next T-shirt, Carrie. You know,
The library with two thumbs.
library, and it's your face, 2 thumbs up. Public service
That's
announcement:
awesome.
make sure your library cards are in good standing.
Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. So much fun.
Yep.
You can do videos too. Like
It could be the
Yeah,
next
I gotta
LeVar
take advantage
Burton.
of that.
Who knows?
We have a
Don't
library.
take my word for it. Go to your library.
We got to develop this whole slogan and merch line right here.
Yeah.
Now.
Like
Robbie,
I think it even has like this Hoopla site even has like up to issue 10. That's the one you were just talking about, right?
11 is the
11.
last issue.
Okay.
That came out this month. Yeah.
Did Dank ever end up doing that? Because Dank was gonna make a broke ass book club on his channel where everyone had to read a Hoopla book. Like that was his thing.
It's kind of a genius idea, though. If he hasn't, I'm going to steal that.
I'm gonna steal that, but for movies, and it's gonna be something on Tubi.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Tubi is so much fun sometimes.
Dude,
Oh my
I
goodness.
pay so much money for fucking services, and I spend half my time watching Transformers and shit on Tubi.
Well, I love Tubi, man. There's nothing better than watching a gnarly horror movie on Tubi and having like some nude person get their throat slit, splatter blood, and then a Charmin commercial. It's great.
For all your blood pooling
That's-
needs.
That's what we call good product placement.
The quicker picker upper.
They're targeted ads, Robbie. You didn't know. Yeah.
Yes, they are.
We talked about this a couple of months ago, Robbie. I don't think you were reading this one at the time. Have you caught up, or is it on your radar? What's going on?
It's the same story, man. Like I was reading this book for like 6-7 issues, something like that. Like I was right there with you every month talking about it. It was short one month, damaged the next month. I fell behind, and I never got up. I'm blaming Diamond for this one. And
well
so I
worth
was like, I can't get those issues right now. And so I'm like, well, I'll just wait until it's done. I thought it would be done like months ago. It's still going, y'all. How is it? When is this the final issue? How many
it's over
issues
now.
is this? Okay,
Yeah, it's over now. Yeah.
Well, I'll get the trade paperback now. So
It's well worth it. If you
I
guys
was
haven't-
loving it. I was loving it when it first came out. And the first issue, part of it takes place in Huntsville, Alabama, where I'm at right now. So
Yeah.
thought that was pretty dope and pretty awesome. So.
Yeah.
All right, Nick, thank you so much for your expertise in guiding the panel along. Manny, we're going to throw it to you now to deliver your next pick and then carry the show around as well.
All right. My next pick. I think I'll save Amazing Spider-Man for somebody else. I'm gonna go with Monsters Are
Are you
My
sure?
Business.
Because this would be the first month where I could go like, no, I didn't read it. I
I'm
feel so
going with
good. I
Monsters.
feel so good.
It feels nice, doesn't it? Like I looked at it and I was like, "Oh fuck, Chasm's on the cover. Fuck it, I'm not doing it.
picked the
I'm
right
not
time,
doing
bro.
it."
Yeah, fuck it. And then
Wait.
and then they do this bullshit for issue 50 where Norman's back as the Goblin possibly, and I'm like, nah,
Dude,
you
it's-
ain't gonna get me, man.
You know what?
It's not only that Chasm is on the cover; it's that he's also drawn shitty. Like they didn't even give a shit enough to render him well. Like they rendered Spider-Man well, and Chasm they're just like, I don't know, fucking have your kid draw it. Like it's just not. He's got no muscles. He's just weak looking.
John Romita the third do that? Is that what you're saying?
I stand by my real.
I don't know. I don't see whiskers. I don't know if it was JR.
Robbie, does that mean you finally broken free?
Yeah, I'm done with Amazing Spider-Man, and now I'm done with fucking Daredevil. Missing 16 pages or not. Fuck Daredevil. Fuck Amazing Spider-Man. I'm over it.
Dude, you were on board with fucking Bullseye being fucking Gambit in
That was-
Ultimate Spider-Man, but you're totally okay with which.
I like, dude, Bullseye, that is so against that fucking character. I'm sorry. If you read that fucking, all of a sudden he's putting on a fucking jacket and he's going to deliver some kind of fucking, I get that you want to make a fucking book talking about tech bros and all that fucking shit, but like, Bullseye wouldn't do that. So stop. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? It's
Dude,
so
you know that
stupid.
wasn't Bullseye, right? That wasn't Bullseye.
Oh, whatever. Don't try to convince me.
I'm not going to convince you. I'm just saying. I just read it. It's not him, man. Everyone's possessed by demons.
Oh, sure.
That's
Let's
true,
just go
everyone-
with that. Okay.
It is.
It's always a demon. It's always.
It's stupid, is what it. This is the stupidest Daredevil shit since
That's funny.
that dude was like, I got 10 fucking fingers. Charles Soule did that shit. I got 10 fingers, so he had a
Oh,
gun
that
with
was
like
bad.
10 triggers. What the fuck? That's not how guns work. Like, I'm
All
sorry.
right. I'm changing my pick to Daredevil. No,
Fine, mine.
I didn't read it yet, but I can make some shit up. It'd be
It
pretty
sucks.
good. See, wielding the power of influence. You realize that because you said it sucks. Now it's like it's on the bottom of the stack.
Dude,
Like-
all
like-
the Marvel books sucked this week. The ones I read like 5 of them. They all sucked. Even Blade sucked. You know why? Because it's like Marvel's like, we got something that's working.
Let's stop it.
That makes me so
We're done.
mad.
Yep, we're
Don't even
done.
get me started
Oh.
on the whole Blade situation. Okay.
Oh god.
I
Well,
am
we've
a
now reached the
vampire.
bitch about Marvel portion of the show
I
tonight.
am a
This is true. It is half the
vampire.
viewers.
I have been talking about Blade, and then we got Blade. We had that one shot, right? And that was spectacular, fantastic. And I was like, "Are we getting more?" And everyone's like, "No, it's just a one shot right now." And then we got the series, and I'm like, "Yes, yes! Finally, the vampire girly in me is celebrating." I kind of liked Bloodline because of it was cute, but like we had Blade, and now it's gone.
Yeah, it's
They're about to
I'll tell you
invent
what.
that.
I've been a Blade fan since the early '90s, and with the Night Stalkers comic, his appearances on Spider-Man the animated series, and then the movie with Wesley Snipes. Right? I'll tell you this: never get any kind of fucking hope for a Blade comic. Marvel has never known what the fuck to do with them since Gene Colan and Marv Wolfman stopped. Right? Like they just don't know what to do with the character. Even the Blade stuff I like out of fucking spite. In a way, like I don't.
Yep.
No,
Right,
we got a great 10 issues though.
But the
Better than
ending
average.
is kind of fucking abrupt because I feel like it wasn't planned. Did you read it? That's
yeah.
not a planned ending, bro. Not
I
from,
have
not from
it
Pine
sitting
Hill.
here. I haven't gotten to read it yet, but I'm kind of like sitting here like, man, I just know it's gonna piss me off by the end of it because I'm just going to be like, so now if I want to read anything Blade, I have to buy 20 million Blood Hunt issues that I'm already committing myself to absolute power. And I don't know what to do, guys. I don't have any money.
You can just buy there's a Blood Hunt Midnight Suns book. That's the next continuation of the Blade book because it's written by Brian Edward Hill. And I like Brian. I like his work so much. I really do. And it's a shame that he gets put on these tiny... Anyway. Manny, did you have a book
Sorry,
you wanted
man.
to talk about? That was good.
I thought Monsters Are My Business was okay, damn it. Colin Bunn did a good job. It's fun. It's got that grindhouse kind of like fun, fucking gritty. I don't know. It was good. It was I don't even know what we're talking about. This one was good. I like the thing is like I think the selling point though for this book is the damn koala, and the koala's like hardly in it. It's like one cute moment, and then it's walking around in the side like fucking Pikachu for the rest of the thing. Like, so I will say that Cuddles, super cool character, underutilized in this book. But I do like Grizz. I like that character. I like that the book, aside from that one moment when he's dealing with customers, doesn't stop. It just keeps moving. It's got a lot of propulsion to it. I like the artwork. It's cartoony in all the best ways. It makes all the monster elements, including the giant octopus sphincter monster, that it just, everything just is fun. It's super fun. The one thing I'll say, because obviously I have to have some stupid ass rambling thematic thing to talk about. I do like the bikers that Grizz appears to have been friends with, the ones that started this whole apocalypse acid rain thing. I like that they're becoming monsters, and I like that Grizz talks about how he was born for this, he was made for this. It's like by embracing his Jungian shadow self, he's able to keep himself from turning into the same monsters they are. I like that idea of embracing violence, again, we talked about Beneath the Trees, just embracing who you are and being able to integrate. And I don't know, I dug it. It's a good book. Fuck you, Cullen Bunn. You shocked me again, brother. Between this and Ghost Lore, You're firing on all half your cylinders you got, but you're firing on them, brother. And I dug it.
You're leading, Manny.
Yeah, you're supposed to be leading.
Oh, I'm supposed to keep going. All right, sweet. All right, so
this is your portion of the show, man. We're trying some new shit here, man.
I know we did this last time. I only have Power when Bueller's here. So anyway, guys, if you're a fan of big, dumb, gigantic demonic splendor, you're gonna want to check this book out. I don't want to go with a moronic thing. Carrie is next to me. Carrie, did you read this book? What did you think about it?
Moronic splendor, Carrie.
Oh, what did you think about this book? It was good, right?
I didn't read it. I've tried Colin Bunn's work before, and it really hasn't just grabbed me very much. Right now, I think I'm gonna wait on everything Colin Bunn until I get my Kickstarter with Robbie on the cover. I'm waiting on that one, and then.
So am I.
Yep, Reanimator.
Reanimator.
Yeah.
I fucking forgot about it. My buddy fucking Nestor was in town for the expo, and he's like, "Well, when am I going to get my cover?" I'm like, "What are you fucking talking about?"
Right.
It's the Reanimator book. I'm like, "Oh shit."
Cullen forgot about it too because Robbie saw him and he was just like, Robbie's like, "We just did a book together, but all right."
He's like, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah.
Well, no, what I will say is he does give updates, and I do get updates via email. So I don't want it to seem like it's like he said nothing. But like
his last update was like, "Oh, Dynamite just let me know I had to write this book." So let's fucking do it.
Yeah, where's it at? Let's see.
His last update, I think the last update said that they were doing lettering and it was almost done.
Nice.
Oh yeah, the survey already went out too.
That cover was so long ago. I'm wearing a hat in it.
Mm-hmm.
Just letting you on the
hat.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And there's other covers with other creators like I don't know if you guys have ever watched Casually Comics with Sasha. She's really
but fuck them, man, because my cover's the one that everybody should have gotten, and it didn't do very well apparently.
I got your cover, Robbie. So
thank you, Carrie. I appreciate it. I appreciate that. I really do.
Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's coming. I feel like it's going to be coming probably within the next 10 years, and
yeah.
I'm still waiting on my Witchman. Damn it! He said it was being sent out, and I was like, "Where is it? Where's my Witchman?"
Yeah, we got digital at least, but still.
Yeah, I fuck the digital, man.
Yeah, hell, we'll go to Heroes by the time we get it, and we'll just see it there.
Oh, did you hear? Yeah, of course you heard. You're the one that shared it. That Ed's siblings are going to be there. That's fucking dope.
Yeah,
that's dope. Very excited.
Yeah,
me and Kevin realized the other day that we need to fucking find lodging. So we just like, oh shit,
dude.
Bring some sleeping bags.
Well, I will tell you that the hotel that I had reserved, I haven't canceled that reservation yet, and that's across the street. So something's about to open up for you, Robbie.
Oh, nice. Well, I'm sure we're gonna.
Nick's got room on the floor of his room. Don't even trip. You're good.
Over at the West.
I figure worst case scenario, I'm like, hey guys, where you at? You got a couch? You got a floor? Where are y'all doing? If not, I know Marcus is gonna be there. If not, I'll just go up to Daniel Warren Johnson and be like, bro, I need a place to crash tonight.
Yo, Marty, what's up, dude?
Yeah, be like, hey, Marty.
I got your books in my shop now.
I scrolled through all of his fucking books. Sorry, Manny, we're all over your section right now. This is what happened.
No, I'm interested. I talked about Cullen Bunn. I need any sort of like
no, bring it back up, man. Yeah.
No, here's the thing. Cullen Bunn, prolific writer. He's really good. He's a kid that always gets picked for kickball and is reliable. And he might even score the winning fucking kick if that's how you win in kickball. I don't remember. But he might do that. But nobody fucking remembers. You know what I mean? You're just like, I recognize you. He's the guy in high school you recognize every time you see him at the grocery store. But he was not you didn't kick it. You know what I mean? That's Cullen Bunn.
Or he picked it with like everyone. Like all the clicks. He was one of those guys that was just like everybody. He was like Ferris Bueller without being Ferris Bueller, without being popular. Like he just was around like everyone. Everyone knew exactly who he was. But like now 10 years later, 20 years later, they're like, I wonder whatever happened to him.
Exactly. Speaking of gone in 10 years, Robbie, did you read Monsters Are My Business?
If I die 10 years to this day, you better fucking feel bad.
You're going to feel real bad.
I'm going to feel horrible.
Mark the date, 2034. Anyway, yeah, I read this book. I really liked it. I was kind of surprised too. Cullen Bunn, I can like you said, he's prolific, but you know how I was saying like Tom King does so much work that not all of it's going to hit. Cullen Bunn does like 3 times as many books a month as like someone like Tom King, right? His output's insane, But this was a fun book that it didn't take itself too seriously. It had really great artwork, and I found it to be bouncy, right?
Yeah.
Like I found it like had a nice kind of like pace to it. It was perfect for horror fans that like tongue-in-cheek type stuff. And I did enjoy it. I think if you're a fan of the Goon, this is definitely something to check out.
Yeah. That I could not agree more. I could not agree more. And I'm hard on Cullen Bunn all the time. And I'm the only person on this panel that picks a Cullen Bunn book every month.
Every time.
So
you're hard
take
on
that
yourself too, brother. Right?
Huh?
And you're hard on yourself is what you're saying, right?
All the
because
time.
you keep picking Cullen Bunn.
And
you missed a golden opportunity to be like, speaking of goons.
A goon, I know. That's what I was saying.
I was building onto a speaking of hard on joke, but you don't fucking forget it. It's done. The moment has
No,
passed.
I like that one better. We could rewind.
Nick, I know
Manny.
that you are a huge heart. No, that don't work either. You like this book, don't you?
You are a huge
you?
hard on.
Yeah.
Eric's like, fuck, what did I sign up for tonight?
He knows what he signed up for.
We already heard octopus sphincter monster. None of this scares me at this point.
I'm actually not. I'm not reading it, but I will say. I will say, Cullen Bunn. He's a cool dude, though, man. He's all right. He's all right. I have a reel on IG calling out. So me and Bobby have like a feud going back and forth with Cullen Bunn right now. Whenever we see him at a con, we film him dissing the other guy. So like I got one against Bobby, he's got one against me, and then he just hit me back with another one just recently. So go on their IGs, you can see the battling Cullen Bunn IG disses. But he's a cool dude, man. Yeah, check him out at a con. He's a super nice. He did me a solid. He gave my daughter some free books and stuff. So kid appropriate books, signed them and everything. Cool dude to talk to. Has a ton of books, man. He's just cranking things out left and right. So like props to the guy for like being that creative that he can do that. So yeah.
He is
not reading this one though.
He is a cool dude.
Yeah,
absolutely.
For sure.
Absolutely. I'm a huge fan of Stu from Supreme Clientele. He couldn't make it tonight, but we do have 9 panel grids. Easy Dick here in the house, brother. What did you think about Monsters Are My Business, my friend? I know you loved it.
I think I agree with everyone here on the panel, and Cullen Bunn's a really nice guy.
And
that's all I got to say about that.
Dude, look at this sphincter monster, dude.
Oh wow!
Oh my
Stare
God.
into the sphincter, man. It's amazing.
It's winking at me.
It's a popcorn bowl for Dune.
It
Look at
does.
that. It's so cool. It's such a good book. It's so much fun.
Cullen got pop boom wrong. It just went boom boom boom. Okay.
Oh.
I have to talk to him about that. I'm gonna pull my
so-
fucking cover from Dynamite. You just wait.
So I'm fucking Greg this month. What the hell? Nobody read my book.
If you were
I'm
Greg,
Greg?
you'd be talking about fucking Dick Tracy. You'd be shilling the hell out of it. I bet that's his best book of the month, man.
I
For
bet
sure.
it is.
Look at
I
my
bet it
toys.
is.
It wasn't
That
bad.
guy who on his review was like, "Where's my fucking Dick Tracy toys to show off?"
I wouldn't know because I have good taste. I don't watch Greg's channel, but I'm sure it probably is his pick of the month. All right. Well, I'm going to toss it over to Carrie. Carrie, what was your pick? Second pick of the month.
Okay, it's between two. All right. So, right or left? Somebody pick right or left.
The left-hand path always.
That was a good call. I thought it was a politics thing. I was all scared.
You're like, I'm in the middle.
Somehow you failed either way, I think. Right?
I'm an independent.
Audience,
I'm
tell
moderate.
me where I'm supposed to sit on this. Come on.
So we knew that Tom King was eventually going to get brought up by me because of Wonder Woman. I'm constantly loving this book, continually loving this book. We had a little bit of a kind of sidebar last month, and honestly, last month I probably wouldn't have put it up as one of my favorite books. But this book,
it's
we
stopped.
Yeah,
Carrie.
'cause it-
That's why. Because it
we
really
got
stopped.
back on track with this one, and we're back to the really just hero's trial of Wonder Woman here, and with a little bit of a sidebar involving the Wonder Girls, messing with Sergeant Steele. That was fun. But you got Sampiri on the art, solid as usual, solid as always. Tom King telling a story that is really it's I've said it, I think I've said it here before. It's just crazy that a man is writing this story, because he gets women and he gets the struggles of women so well. And right now, like in this one, he goes after the whole, bring women back to the kitchen kind of thing. And that's absolutely just the hugest nightmare for me personally as a woman, to be kind of like stuck in that whole Handmaid's Tale kind of thing. So this is written with so much care, and I love it so much. Speaking of nightmares for women, Robbie, what did you think of Wonder Woman?
Right.
Jesus.
Fuck, that was a mean one. All right. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I liked how it was. I mean, I like Tom King's Wonder Woman. I do. I didn't like, the reason why I really didn't like the first one was because of all the shit he was saying before. It's the same reason I didn't like the first issue of Animal Pound, right? But Animal Pound 2 and 3, like, I really, really enjoy, right? And when I went to his panel, Damien was there. I don't think he's still here, but me and Damien and a few others, we went to the Tom King panel at MegaCon. Okay. And he was talking about the importance of the page, right? And it helped me like, no, he really does kind of structure. But the problem is Tom King has a structure, and once you figure it out, you figure it out, right? So it's like, I remember a day where I figured out Jeff Loeb's structure, right? The way he, like, I read Long Halloween, and I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, I get it now. So when Dark Victory came out, I was like, oh, this is the killer. And it was true. And then when Hush came out, I was like, well, this is the person who's really behind it. And that all turned out to be true. Tom King's kind of like that. But that being said, I'm really liking his Wonder Woman. I thought this was a very strong issue. I appreciate what you were saying about, writing the story about women and that whole thing about being in the kitchen and that like 50s idea of like what a woman's place is in American society, right? But also what I loved about it was how it tied it into, in a bold fucking decision by him and DC, tied it into the Bible, tied it into a lot of people's belief system, right? And was showing some of the flaws there. And I thought that was kind of bold and cool, and I really liked it. I'm liking his Wonder Woman run. It's he's stretching it. Last issue like blew chunks. Like last issue blew giant chunks of like Oreo fucking milkshake, in my opinion.
It was so hard to read. But
this one was really good. I did like it. I'm liking his Wonder Woman run. I think Tom King is firing across all 3 of his 4 cylinders right now.
All 3 of his 4 cylinders, huh?
Yeah, I was trying to allude back to the cylinder joke that Manny was making about Cullen Bunn. Cullen Bunn only had like a couple. Tom King's got 3.
Yeah,
I just recently had that problem. My car was misfiring on cylinder 4, so I had to get that fixed.
Yeah, that's not good.
Super chats are welcome on Rockin Robbie Live.
Oh, Damien is still here. Damien is still here. He just commented in the chat.
Oh, nice, Damien. What's up? Tom King is somebody when you meet him, you're gonna love and hate him.
I have this feeling about him that like and I was just like, I don't know how I'd react to Tom King meeting him right now, because like it just like some of my favorite stuff over the last couple of years has been him. Wonder Woman, Human Target, just to name 2 of them. Penguin's been really great.
I geeked out with him about Penguin in particular. Penguin and Mr. Miracle. Like I think Mr. Miracle's still genius. So
yeah. But
do I want Tom King to write a new God story though? No. Like that's the kind of book where I want to see Darkseid eat a veggie tray, but typically that's not something I would be cool with. He was a double dipper though, which I liked.
Oh,
Speaking of firing on all four cylinders, Nick, are you reading Wonder Woman?
oh yeah,
See, I would have went. Speaking of double dippers,
double dip. Yeah, that was
Double dip the chip.
He does
I
every Wednesday, part of Whiplash
settled
Wednesday for
the
the
double
Bad
dip.
Batch.
I settled on the whole firing on four cylinders
I
right
think
after
she
you
felt-
said it, Robbie. So yeah.
I think she felt bad after your transition, Robbie, that she was like, okay, I gotta like,
speaking of nightmares to women, suck.
I got all four cylinders.
I
too.
would
had-
like to
I
say
had
I'm a
to-
nightmare to men
because
and
of the-
women.
because of the the only way you could have segued into me was Manny saying moronic splendor. I was like, you know what, I gotta pass this along. I gotta
No,
pay
I
it
appreciate
forward.
it. I would have done the nightmare to women one too. That was a really good one.
Yeah, that was clearly the best option.
It was funny because it's true.
It's impossible. This is a series that's definitely growing on me for sure. I think it's doing a great job tackling some important things. There's obviously it's a book that I can't. So it's a book that I can't relate to personally, firsthand experience, right? So it's hard for me to put myself in that position, but I can certainly understand. I can try to understand the trials and tribulations of that perspective, right? So that's as far as I can take it, right? So I read the book and I felt uncomfortable every single page, which I think is the appropriate response, obviously, right?
Mhm.
So like, I don't think you can read this book and be like on his side, you know what I mean? And like, yeah, whatever, tighten it up more. It's just so uncomfortable, right? So like, I think that's the appropriate reaction there. I think there's some threads. The part where where the other Wonder Woman were interrogating the other guy with the arrow and stuff like that was cool. I like that part. It didn't go anywhere. I felt like if you pluck that out, you wouldn't even miss it. Like it felt underdeveloped. I feel like that could have been stretched out a little bit more. Like to what end? Like what did he tell you? What are you going to do? Are you going to go infiltrate? Are you going to go save her from the dungeon? What are you going to do with that information? So like that felt a little out of place. Important message, beautiful art. Love all the scenes are just amazing. Some of the perspectives and the line work and everything is just brilliant. And the backstory is hilarious as well. So like, I keep bringing that up as well. I love Trinity as a character. I love the interaction with John and Damien. Like I want to see more of that as well. It has nothing to do with the current story, although, it loosely does, right? We're like
It's just
telling
a cute
the story.
little thing,
It's
like,
just, I feel like
you have the seriousness of Wonder Woman of the main story. And then you get this little like palate cleanser right at the end.
See, I haven't read those since issue 1.
Oh, they're great. They're
They're
hilarious. They're so good.
They're cute little stories. Yeah.
It's like the ginger in between the sushi, right? It's just like you're going to get this thing and you need this cleanser and you're laughing at the end of it. So like you feel disgusted reading the main issue, right? Because of the way that people are treating other people. That's just like a human thing. And then you read that story.
Okay. One thing I
think that Trinity becomes the thing that's good that comes out of all of this.
One of the things I do like about this book that I don't think I've really mentioned yet because it's taken me like, what are we on, issue 7, 8, something like that, right?
Yeah.
That's 8.
And who's the dude's name? The Sovereign? That's a great villain. Like that's a really good villain for Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
Like I think that really, really works because
That's
Wonder
exact
Woman
opposite
has
of
a
her.
history of being an American representative, right? Like because she was wearing the stars and the stripes. Like she's one of those, even though she's not from America or really representing America, she's representing the Themyscira, Paradise Island. She's wearing stars and stripes, and she is kind of like one of those patriotic characters from the Golden Age. You know what I'm saying? And so it's kind of playing with that a little bit too. And so I think this book is brilliant. Is it The Dark Knight Returns for Wonder Woman? No, because you can't. That's not your starting point. You just make a good Wonder Woman story. He's doing it. Let's just. I'm giving him the space.
I think they're if you want to pull an idea of a book that's closer, that would be to being a such and such Dark Knight story. That would be probably Avengers Twilight. But there's certain elements
and
to
for
me
Wonder
to make
Woman,
it.
that's Dead Earth.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I think there's certain elements to me that need to be present in the story to even come close to that. And it's still a great story, but I don't think it's there. I think there's certain elements that are missing. But those elements missing don't what's the word I'm looking for? Detract. Thank you. From what is actually happening there, which is really important.
Yeah.
For a
And Robert,
Nightmare
to
to
your-
Women, I know words.
And to your point, like you couldn't have picked a better villain. Like if I was trying to figure out who would be a good new villain for Wonder Woman, it would be an old white guy who loves oppressing.
Well, the
people.
idea of the lasso of
You know what I
life-
mean? Like that's the exact opposite of her. She represents everything that has like power and imbuing women and things like that. You know what I mean? And like becoming mainstream and fighting all those stereotypes. And this is the exact the villain is the exact opposite of that, which is a cool thing to play with, you know? So
where she represents truth, he represents
lies to the highest degree. So if she's the highest degree of truth and empowerment and progression, he's the highest in holding people back. And
I mean, and raise your hand if you think that the powers that be that control the government are the actual true villains of the world.
Yeah.
I mean,
I knew you had
people?
my back, Manny. Okay, yeah, rich, like all of us, but Nick.
I mean,
Nick, you're
Nick, mine
one of
was
them,
like, isn't it obvious already? That was my approach. I'm like, I don't even need to raise my hand. And clearly, that's the case.
So Wonder Woman is definitely in a really uncomfortable position right now. Speaking of uncomfortable positions for people to be in, Eric, what do you think?
First and foremost, I think so. This book scared me away, so I didn't read this issue, right? But I didn't read this because issue 1 kept getting described as the Dark Knight Returns of, right? And I think as an industry, creators, even us here, we got to stop doing that to books. Like even with Avengers Twilight, I don't think it's an appropriate thing to put on that book. It's not the Watchmen of this. It's not the Dark Knight Returns of that. Let's just say evergreen, books. That's what these are. They're evergreen books. We can keep coming back to them over and over. But as a lapsed DC reader, I'm totally like ingrained into Batman. That's an easy thing. I've just jumped back into Superman and Action Comics. And I think Wonder Woman is next because honestly, it feels like the most challenging book in a good way. Like I feel like it's talking based on what you guys are saying, it's talking towards things that aren't being approached in other books, and that's kind of an exciting prospect.
Mm-hmm. And then I think that when you have an industry that's getting better, okay, for women creators, women readers. And to have somebody stand up and be like, okay, we're really going to hammer this home. This is what really is going on here and what could really happen. It's not only Margaret Atwood talking about it with The Handmaid's Tale. I'm going to be this, middle-aged white dude, and I'm going to talk about it too. And that's why I think it's really important to be like, oh, well, even he is standing up and saying, this is not right. And that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
And speaking of standing up and saying, this is not right, Manny, are you reading Wonder Woman?
I am not yet, but I can tell you that there are plenty of sushi analogies, Damien, for comics.
Oh, yes.
I think that could be an entire discussion. I think it's an important discussion, a relevant and timely discussion that should be had. Is Batman not like Nori? Is he not like the seaweed that is holding everything in comic books in DC together right now? Is that not what he is? Is Superman not the rice that is the foundation of comic books and superhero comic books, giving everything its strength and its flavor? Like I'm just saying, there's plenty of shit that we could do.
I would say this.
Interesting.
Cullen Bunn is the Chinese buffet sushi of the industry. Sometimes it's going to work. Sometimes it's not.
There's a lot of it. Not all great. People run to the crab legs. Those are the first things to go.
It's typically edible.
Generally, if you eat too much, you get sick.
All right. for my second pick, I got two to choose from here, and it's going to be an easy choice. I'll be fanboy here. Transformers #7, Damien's first Transformers comic of all time. I loved it. I'll tell you why I loved it. First of all, I was worried when Daniel Warren Johnson wasn't going to be drawing the book, but I knew that Jorge Corona would be capable. But I didn't think that he was capable of bringing that D-Dubs level of energy and excitement and intensity. Nope, I was wrong. His style is actually different. Damien even said, I think I've seen Jorge Corona. This looks a little bit different. I think he's aping the Daniel Warren Johnson style. That's exactly what he's doing. He knows the assignment, and I hope they all get it. Now, I've read the Free Comic Book Day. Ryan Otley is doing the art on that.
Yeah.
He's doing the same thing,
Yep.
right? They're taking that manga influence, that like giant battle, like fucking influence, and it's great, right? And then here's the start of a new arc. So we get to keep the themes. Daniel Warren Johnson's still writing it. He's keeping the themes of war, and that's something Damien picked up on. He was like, it seems like a bunch of robots questioning war and all this kind of shit. I hope that Damien gets the trade paperback and can actually get into the book, right? I love Transformers. Now, I have an attachment, a nostalgia attachment to Transformers. I'm a big Transformers fan. But this book to me is not, it transcends that. It transcends my fandom of Transformers. Yeah, I'm a Transformers fan. I haven't read hardly any of the Transformers books that have come out over the last 30, 40 fucking years. You know what I'm saying? This is next level comics. This is next level mainstream comics. This is like equivalent to what Jim Lee did when he brought the energy and excitement to X-Men #1 in 1991. This is like the equivalent of what Rob Liefeld did with X-Force #1. This is the equivalent of what Todd McFarlane did with Spider-Man #1. It made it feel like this tired franchise was finally jumping into the new age, right? Jorge Corona's artwork is amazing, but the reason why this is my next pick instead of Uncanny Valley, which was amazing, but the reason why this is the one I want to talk about, because my favorite Transformer, period, is Soundwave. Yep. And this motherfucker, you kicked my Ravage, and he beats the shit out of fucking Starscream's ass, and dude, he rips his fucking chest out, kicks him. He's fucking, this is Sparta's that motherfucker, right? I love it. 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 It's scratching all the itches. Great art, exciting comics, compelling story, great themes, and exciting and fun. And this is why we read comics. We all started reading comics not for the most pretentious fucking thing out there. We're not looking for the next Watchmen or Dark Knight Returns. We weren't looking for the next Walking Dead. We're not looking for the next Spider-Man. We're not looking for the next Batman and the Batman after that and the Batman after that. We are looking to have fun reading comics in a way that we can't with television and movies and books and boring ass conversation with our coworkers who we don't like to begin with, right? So comics, this is what comics are, and that's what leads us into all the other stuff, right? So Transformers is fucking killing it. #7 was my favorite. What do you think, Nick? Transformers 7.
I mean, you said it right there. I mean, it's a brilliant book that has so much emotion in it, and it's on both sides of the fence, right? So it's like the ebbs and flows of each team, right, as they're fighting each other, and the leadership struggles and things like that. Like, it just does such a good job of bringing in that human element, bringing in those emotions, easily relatable. You can tell, like, okay, the Decepticons, man, they are going to be cutthroat, ruthless. There's always going to be a power struggle going on there because Megatron's not really around right now. So we're figuring that out still. We're going to figure it out. But in the meantime, there's going to be such a power struggle there. And I just love that conversation. I love that duel. Like you said, it was just so raw and just crazy.
When Thundercracker's like, no, this is our way, Starscream.
Right.
Because he's like, I think he's like, what did you do exactly to Skywarp? What's going on with my buddy? I love it.
But then on the other side, you have what was like RC and like Carly, like having that conversation about like on the shooting range. You know what I mean? Like it's just every single issue, every single moment of this book has just such a great human element to it. And she's on a revenge mission, man. She's got she's just seeing red right now, and I just can't wait to see her temptation with the dark side. In other words, right?
Mhm.
Like, is she going to be that character that pushes things too far? Is she the one that they're going to have to kind of like rein back in because she's going to do something that she's going to regret forever? So I don't know what that's going to look like, but I can see her heading in that direction, and it's going to be really fun to see how they pull it off.
Oh yeah. Speaking of regret, Eric, what do you think about Transformers #7? Oh, I got it back.
It's back. Yeah, no, this issue was super fun. I was honestly, I don't know if worried is the right word, right? But I was very curious as to what Jorge Corona was going to be like in this issue, because I don't know if I would have been here for the Bumblebee you love in the dark. But he totally took this in a different direction. And yeah, you were right. You hit the nail on the head. It was just he was just taking that influence and he just ran with it. I mean, this issue probably had one of the best action set piece scenes in a comic that I've read all year. The fight between Soundwave and Starscream, right? Did I get those names right? I'm not a huge fan.
Yes, you did.
Yeah,
Mhm.
you did.
I didn't call him like Sideswipe or anything like that. So
Sideswipe
it
was a Transformer, but he's an
Are you
Autobot.
serious?
He has
Or
a
not
shield.
Sidewipe then. Okay. Yeah, it was
Skid Mark and
Skid Mark, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just
Skid Mark is actually in G2. I'm just kidding.
yeah, he's a GoBot for sure. Yeah, it was action packed. It was just exciting. I loved it, and I can't wait for Megatron to finally make his appearance within this book and really start messing things up, because it's going to get really exciting.
yeah.
Dude, wait till you read the free comic book day. That's the free comic book day issue everybody needs to make sure they get. The Inner John special is the best free comic book day I've read in maybe decades. Like, I don't
it's like
know.
a full thing too, right? So
Yeah,
it's not like a
three
4-page
stories.
bullshit.
Three
Yeah.
stories. There's a Transformer story involving Megatron.
Mhm.
Where you're gonna find
Okay.
out what happened to Megatron, where
And how
is
he ended
now.
up where he is.
Yeah, and where he is now and what's happening. It takes you into Cobra Commander and it shows you how he wound up in Cobra Law and takes you beyond that. There's a Void Rivals story in there that introduces a character from Transformers that blew me away seeing their appearance. And then there's a G.I. Joe story that's setting up some stuff to come. That's really, really cool. So
Do I need to camp out in front of my comic book shop on Saturday morning, or?
Well, I don't think you should camp out, because if your comic shop is smart, they ordered a shit ton of
They
them.
would have ordered
Yeah.
stacks
really.
of them.
And if not,
so.
there is a paid version that's available the very next week. in
Okay, so
comic.
that answers the question I had. Okay, all right, because I saw that in previews and I was like, is this the same thing?
It's the same thing. Different covers. It's got a Daniel Warren Johnson cover on it. It's pretty dope though.
Okay.
There may be some special surprises, but I don't know. They didn't reveal that in the last meeting that we had.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Okay.
Yeah. Which was really cool. Speaking of really cool, Manny, what do you think about Transformers #7? Soundwave versus Starscream for the leadership of the Decepticons.
That was such a fucking nice one, dude. That was so nice.
Sometimes they're nice segues.
Oh, my goodness, man. Oh,
Speaking of being little bitches like Starscream, Manny, what do you...
There you go.
I want to hats off to Eric for that. Every joke, everything in there landed. You are the avocado in the comic book sushi. You're creamy. You make everything work. You hold it all together. You work with just about everything. I dug it. And you're green, which rocks. No, this was a good. This was a damn good issue. I liked. Again, I missed the Transformers train, so I also don't know who they are. But I do, like I said last month, I like that this book has me like researching lore. Like I'm like, that thing was cool. What is that? And they're like, it's a cliff jumper. And I'm like, that's the coolest ever. And they're like, no, he's not. But I still dug it. I love how this touches on the fallout from everything that just happened in the previous arc, right? Like you're seeing Carly's reaction and that relationship with Cliffjumper. I think it's Cliffjumper, the red one. And you're seeing Starscream and
Jumper is the
Soundwave.
Cullen Bunn of Transformers.
He is. He's just a fucking red bumblebee. I get it. I understand.
I mean, you're not wrong, dude.
No. Not even remotely. But I.
If that
is the type
motherfucker
of
was
Bumblebee
yellow and
you
they
would
killed
love in the
Cliff
game.
Jumper in the first issue, nothing changes. Nothing changes.
Yeah.
Damn thing, not a damn thing. But I do like the there's just this really cool juxtaposition contrast, if you want to call it that, between every dynamic. That was I doing the bit between every dynamic in each of those scenarios, right? You've got Soundwave, who's a true believer, and you've got Starscream, who's just wants power. So when Soundwave takes over, that increases the resolve and the strength of the Decepticons like tenfold. Meanwhile, Optimus is doing the same thing on his end. We're coming for you. You know what I mean? Like, it's setting up that this is going to be a bigger battle. It's also setting up these kind of divisions between the protagonist characters. It's set, and I just, where is Carly going to go? And if Carly goes that way, is the wheelchair guy going to go that way? Like there's
Right.
Professor X. If that happens, how is that impacting the Autobots' resolve? What happens when the military gets to the coast, right? Like it's building into something super grand and crazy, and it's punctuated with that amazing battle right in the middle that it's shifting the game. It's moving us into what was already a very, very violent depiction of war with these robots feels like it's moving into a new level. This is the Two Towers moment of the trilogy right now, and I'm digging it.
Oh, fuck yeah. Also, a little bit of Ultra Magnus thrown in there.
Yeah,
I was really
that's
surprised
pretty
that, like, damn, we're already getting to Ultra Magnus and shit. Like, okay, I'm down here. I'm here for it. One of the positive things that Damien did pick up was some of the lettering, some of the sound effects, right?
Oh, yeah.
Very Johnson-esque. I wonder, did Daniel go in there and do that, or did Corona do that, or did Russ Wooten do? Like, I'm very curious to know who lettered the sound effects in this one, because
historically it's been in the art.
Yeah, historically it has been. So, like,
yeah.
Is that how on point Corona is? Like,
right.
Studying those pages, like doing it, like that's really exceptional stuff. Really,
well, and
really
they're doing it everywhere. Like if you look at freaking Duke, and you look at, like they're handling this universe so well. Like I was reading Duke earlier this week, and I'm flipping through it, and I'm like, damn it, man, this is like the exact. If Daniel Warren Johnson is giving notes on how the book should look, it's being well received across the board. I don't think he is, but like I think they're trying to make a cohesive artistic style across the board, because
even in this month's Void Rivals, you see the Daniel Warren Johnson influence go into that.
Right.
And
so
it's
like I wonder if it's a
elevating
top-down message versus like a lateral message. You know,
this is like how Reaganomics was supposed to work.
Oh, for rich white guys.
Speaking of bad economic theories, Carrie, what do you think about Transformers #7?
Kind of building upon with some of the stuff you guys were saying is like, the difference between a good artist, okay, because every good artist has their own style, right? But the difference between a good artist and a absolutely great artist, a marketable artist, is somebody that has their own style, can do their own style in spades, but can also go outside of that to build what needs to be done. It's something that people that are trained in graphic design know how to do, because everybody that is an artist has their own style, but sometimes you got to do what's right for the piece. Okay, you can't go in there, trying to do the Me You Love in the Dark with Transformers. But if you look at it and you look at some of the things and some of the elements that are there, he does have some of his style in there, but it is something that just it fits the project. It doesn't have to always be, I don't know what I'm trying to say, but it's one of those things where it's like, if you hadn't told me, or I hadn't looked at it and saw that Jorge Corona had done it, I would have assumed that it was Daniel Warren Johnson.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Oh, 100%.
And one of the things I really liked is that we had that little spot with Carly where it was kind of like a little break. you know, because one of the things that I've been noticing is just this, like all the issues have just been bang, 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 action, 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 very little downtime. And to like sometimes like my anxiety kind of creeps up a little bit with that, because like it's just like, oh my God, it's just go, 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 go. There's no like, okay, let's relax for a second and kind of take in exactly this factor, this human factor, this very human factor that exists within these books, even on the side of the robots, you know, the Transformers. But it gave us that, this issue in particular gave us that little moment, that cool down moment in the middle, and I really appreciated that.
Hell yeah. Speaking of cool down moments, time to cool down this show and get into rapid fire. That's right, the best of the rest. Nick, why don't you kick us off?
Yep. Let's see. Which ones do I want to not talk about? Man, there's so many good ones out there. Mark Russell, Batman, Dark Age, book number 2 with the all reds on the art. Spectacular book. I say it in my review. It's like, I don't know why his origin story, or maybe like the product of the origin story, is so great that you could retell it in a different way, get to the same conclusion, and it's like so much fun. It's just handled brilliantly. So really, really good book. Elseworld Batman, if we need another one, that one's definitely worth it if you're on the fence there. Conan the Barbarian, issue number 10, Titan Comics. I wasn't reading Conan before, and like I feel like I'm a lifelong Conan fan right now. Savage Sword's coming out pretty soon. This book is incredible. It's just like primal, it's savage, it's just nonstop action. It's so easy to jump into. So if you haven't been a fan of Conan in the past, you haven't dug it, jump into this. You'll be absolutely fine. You know, we talked a lot about the Energon stuff, so I feel like a lot of that stuff is comparable, you know, for like Cobra and Duke. But so I'm going to go a little bit different direction. 2 more books. Something Epic, issue number 9, right? 9.
Yeah. Best
Where are we
issue
at?
yet.
9 on this one. Really good issue. Really good issue. Like, I was a little bit worried going into the second arc, learning new characters and things like that, but these characters are so quick to pick up and understand. They take what you learned about epics in the previous arc and they change it a little bit. You start learning how personal it is to be an epic. This story is great. A lot of fictional characters are being assassinated in this realm. She's a PI. She's investigating some murders, really, really high profile murders that she's dealing with, and she has to go like to the highest highs and to the lowest lows inside of this issue to like investigate and interrogate people. And it's just great art shift, and it's just amazing. And then the last book I'll bring up because like it was not on my radar until I just saw where it was from. Tim Lane's Mythologies and Apocrypha, issue number 1. Like this was really, really
pick
cool.
of the week this week, bruh.
It was your pick of the week.
Yeah.
This book came out of nowhere. Like Tim Lane, like I don't really know a whole lot. This is like my introduction to this writer and artist, but like it's just like such a great issue dealing with like the fiction and nonfiction of like historical figures in pop culture. So it follows like Steve McQueen and Frank Sinatra, them tag teaming on some movies, but it also follows like interactions with Sinatra and Elvis, and we have some Sammy Davis Jr. stuff. But like the perspective they take in here is all these different like interviews on like the prime time stations, talking to these different artists, and you don't know, like there's a blurring between reality and like fantasy, like these conversations go in really weird directions, and it's just really cool to see that blending, right? And that just like fantasy element thrown into it. So it was handled really well. Like I have never read a comic like it. And beautifully drawn, black and white.
A shootout on Mars.
Right? A shootout on Mars, on the set of a Mars movie. It was just so crazy. It was the most left field book of the week.
Fantagraphics. There's a hardcover Toy Box Americana. Get that. That's from Tim Lane. And a couple issues of a book called Happy Hour in America. You should check those out for sure. Tim Lane is tremendous. Like honestly. And I got into his work like a couple years ago. So I've been kind of a new fan as well. Doesn't have a lot of work, but it's really freaking good. Speaking of not having a lot of work out here on YouTube, but still doing better than most of the rest, it's Easy Eric. What is up, my man? Rapid fire, let's go.
All right, I'm gonna kick things off with a book that surprised me here. John Constantine, Hellblazer, Dead in America. What is this? Issue number 4, I believe. This book is the one. This is issue finally that got me in. It's kind of brought in an episodic nature to it. Constantine is going to a town on Swamp Thing's premise. He's trying to help. They're trying to help each other out, trying to figure these things out. There's kind of like some seedy stuff going on in like Middle America. Super fun book. It really drove home what I think they're trying to do with the story overarching, and it finally got its hooks in me. So that was super, super compelling. This week, I can't believe this book hasn't come up yet in the panel, but Rare Flavors number 5. Ooh boy, this was a good read. I feel like it's weird to kind of bring up a story talking about the hero's journey when you're talking about a demon, but I feel like that's truly where we've gotten with the story. We have one more issue left, but we're at the point now where if you the Dan Harmon condensed version of the Campbell Circle, he's gotten to the point where he's changed. He's returned home, he's changed, and we kind of see the new version. I can't wait to see what happens with his partner in crime, Mo, and how the things wrap up. But beautiful issue. It had so much emotion behind it.
It's also the first recipe in the book that at first I was like, oh, I can make this one. And
Yeah, me too.
I was like, nope, never mind. I was trying a little bit too much.
I'm like, I know all those ingredients. Awesome.
Try the Ron from, I think it was issue 2 or 3. Delicious. Such a good recipe. Next book I'll talk about, though, Phantom Road. This is one of those unsung hero books. Jeff Lemire is just great at letting the artists kind of like do the heavy lifting, right? He gives them room to breathe. So this wraps up the second arc of the story, and these the two main characters that are traversing this otherworldly Earth and trying to bring their cargo over to this place, wherever it may be. They're dealing with the trauma that they've both been revealed to. They're working through their problems as they both kind of understand each other a little bit more, while on the real Earth the detective is working to try to find out why these murders are happening that are being impacted by the things that these two people are doing. It's a really fun book. I don't know, I think that Lemire and Walta, when they're together, do things that almost no other creative team can do. But I will wrap things up. Let's see. That's too easy a book. Okay, we talked about Brian Edward Hill earlier. I think he's doing arguably even better work than Blade in Ultimate Black Panther. This book surprised me because it was very much a kick the can down the road. I love that phrase. It was that kind of book, but he kept it compelling. Like, I was still intrigued panel after panel, even though it was very conversational. We have Shuri and Okoye having conversations about whether they trust the approach that T'Challa is taking when he's ruling Wakanda. Then we also have Killmonger and T'Challa finally meeting and working through kind of their different viewpoints on how things should be going. And Killmonger is really a man of the people, and he's trying to protect everyone at no matter what the cost. And you can see how a man of royalty and a man of the people can kind of clash with that, but they're working together now. So super compelling issue to a great month of comics.
I just recently filmed a top down on Ultimate Black Panther #1. And I haven't been completely sold on that book, but reading, or I should say rereading and discussing on camera #1 right after I gave #3 a bad review made me go, holy shit, maybe I haven't understood this book yet. Because I liked it so much more on my reread as I'm going through it, right? And then Rich Johnston over at Bleeding Cool pointed out something. All of the Ultimate books are in real time. Like, they're all a month in the timeline. Like, Ultimate Spider-Man #1 takes place in January, #2 February, #3 March, and Black Panther's doing the same thing, and so is Ultimate X-Men. And I didn't realize that, right? And then rereading it, it seems very obvious because Brian Edward Hill keeps saying things like in this issue, he says, for 30 days, we've been in war, right? This kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I was wanting the story to go, I wanted it to push further, but I actually really enjoyed rereading issue #1. So I think that this is going to become kind of like the sleeper hit of the books so far as the Ultimate line goes. Speaking of Ultimates and sleeper hits, this man loves to hit the ultimate pillow and go to sleep. It's Manny. Why don't you tell us your rapid fire?
Oh, dude, tonight is horrible for this. Holy crap! I'm barely chugging along. I'm barely chugging along. But rapid fire. What'd y'all leave me? There's some decent ones. So we didn't have a Radiant Black again this month. So I guess we're talking Power Rangers 119. Stuff happened in this book. Some Rangers, they fought some people. Interesting reveal for Power Rangers heads. It looks like we're getting Rita to where she needs to be in Mystic Force. So that's interesting. That's interesting. So that was good.
Now they're wrapping up that series. You heard that?
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, because it sucks lately.
Right.
So they are going
Did
to
you read
restart that.
Did you read Power Rangers Godzilla Volume 2 by Cullen fucking Bunn?
I read the first one and I liked it, and then I picked up the second one, and I was like, "Please don't ruin. Why you gotta ruin shit I like? Like, why is this a thing?"
Just want to make sure I wasn't the only one.
Why? Why is it so bad? The first one was not bad at all. Why is it anyway? That is a thing that exists. Yeah. All right. Feral issue number 2. Less calling out for the Lord in this one, a lot more action. So we've moved into the Reformation period at this point. So this is the Lutheran issue. A lot more action in this one. Pretty good. Ghost Lore issue number 9. Cullen fucking Bunn. What I love about this book is that he must watch my reviews and write accordingly, because last 2 issues, they've been introducing all these other mediums who can see ghosts. And they're setting up this big battle. And I'm like, no, the heart of this book was the dad and the daughter. You're losing me with all this other bullshit, Cullen. Clean it the fuck up. And after I got off that call with him and he wiped away his tears, he addressed that because he gets rid of, like, it was such a waste of time. We met all these characters. And there's like, all right, well, they're gone now. And I appreciate that. It's not easy for us to Sonic the Hedgehog a book in the comic book community, but we sure as shit did that with Ghost Lore. So Cullen, thank you so much for writing for the audience. Absolutely loved it. It was a good book though, guys. You guys should be reading Ghost Lore. That is a good, very good book. Fuck it. All right. Detective Comics. I liked it. I liked it's back. We're getting the story is moving forward. It is this probably isn't the most Rom V issue. Mm-hmm. I don't know if Rom took a break. This, like, you know, he's writing the one hand and stuff. Yeah, this month. Yeah, like, and then he wrote that kaiju book, and then he wrote this. He's just like, fuck it, we're just gonna move the story along. And that's what I liked about this one. It moved the story along. Nothing rich, nothing thematic really. It just moved the story along, and I can appreciate that once in a while. Just getting us through the month. So thank you, Rom, for that. That's my rapid fire.
What was that book you were talking about? Detective?
Yeah.
Oh man, I loved it, man. Like, he's actually like, it feels like Batman's like actually assimilated this trial he went through, and he feels fresh coming after it, right?
He feels
too
fresh
bad
by
too bad everything's
Nolan
falling
and
apart
Blood.
over in Chip's book, right? So
yeah,
it's very Dark Knight Rises.
It was a
with
good
the signal,
read,
you know what I mean? I'm not going to give it too much.
It's got to be on brand for me shitting on Bookster and Rapid Fire.
I liked Alex's little Cassandra Cain bit.
Oh yeah, I like that
was
little
really
one.
good.
That was drawn well
very
too.
good.
Yeah.
All right, nice rapid fire, man. Speaking of nice rapid fire, Carrie, what you got for us?
Yeah, you're losing it, buddy. Okay.
We're at the end.
It's a 2-hour mark.
Okay, I'm pretty sure this was the beginning of this month. It might have been the end of last month, but / Kill Your Idols, the 20th anniversary of / by Tim Seeley, created by Tim Seeley. This was always a lot of fun. I don't have a lot of experience with / but the character got recommended to me by my boyfriend, and he has a history of reading it. He's like, you're going to love it. You just check it out when you can. And so I grabbed this, and I very much liked it. A lot of fun to read it. It was fun. So if you haven't read it, it's a one-shot. You know, Dig it. Birds of Prey. This was a lot of fun reading this. Okay. There is some really funny moments in this, and strategic placement of body parts while fighting, because Big Barda, who is a member of the Birds of Prey right now, they're all participating in like a fashion show to try and figure out the mystery of what's going on. And they're all wearing lingerie. And Barda thinks that she hears someone say that the clothes are causing mind control. So in order to fight, she throws off all of her clothing because she thinks that it's going to cause mind control. So she's fighting nude, and then there's like, in the art, there's like strategic placement of like arms and feet and that kind of thing to cover it all up. It's a lot of fun and funny read right here. Nobody brought up the Batman First Night. Surprising to me.
So good.
I really love putting the idea of Batman actually kind of juxtaposition with actual stuff going on in the world of that time period where he originally came out. And it's really interesting to see the reactions of the characters reacting to those things as well. I don't think we officially mentioned Duke. What's really going to be interesting is how this ends, and how it's going to put itself in the world of G.I. Joe, and how Duke and G.I. Joe is getting the idea of what they think is going on with all of the Transformers, Decepticons, and Autobots, and everything like that, and how that's going to relate to everything going on with Cobra and Destro. And we get some solid, good Destro moments in this book. So if you haven't checked it out yet, do it. Creature from the Black Lagoon Lives. This was a lot of fun. Read this right before I got on. And I am loving the team up of Dan Waters and Rom V. Whenever those two guys get together, magic happens. So check that out if you haven't picked that up already. And one of the better what the F moments, what the fuck moments, kind of a twist end of a book would be Unnatural Order. Unnatural Order number 4, where basically it's kind of asks the question, what would you risk? What would you put up to get what you most want? Or to bring someone you most love back from the grave? What sacrifice will you make? What choice would you make if someone presented you with that ultimate choice? Would you screw up everything to get that 1 or 2 people back that you lost? That gets asked here. So that's my rapid fire.
Hell yeah. Nice rapid fires all the way around for my rapid fire. Void Rivals number 8. Finally getting the art to the level of energy and excitement as the rest of the Energon universe. I thought it was the best issue of Void Rivals yet. Geiger number 1. A great restarting point for this story. I loved it. Gary Frank's artwork has never looked better. Sacrificers number 7. Sacrificers is one of the best books out there, and it's kind of just like right under the radar, right? But it's like right there. Like so many people are digging this book, and I'm one of them. One Hand, Six Fingers, issue number 3. I think this story keeps getting more and more compelling, and it's not going in an obvious direction that I thought that it was going. Cobra Commander number 4. Cobra Commander is badass. He is not a coward. He is threatening. He is menacing, and I am all here for it. Josh promised us a Cobra Commander that you would know why the Dreadnoks and why Destro, why people will follow this dude they don't like. Yeah, I'm starting to really, really vibe with that. Uncanny Valley, such an amazing book. Tony Fleece with Dan Wagner, the way that they were able to like take cartoon language and apply it in, it's like the best parts of Roger Rabbit and Cool World for a comic book medium. I thought it was really cool. Animal Pound #3 took me like 20 minutes to fucking read it, but I loved every moment of it, right? I do like that book. Dawn Runner #2. #1 didn't do enough to distinguish itself away from any other, mech versus kaiju story like Neon Genesis or Pacific Rim or something. But issue #2 really did give me an interesting concept that's unlike some of the other stuff I've seen. So it made it a little bit more interesting to me. Dick Tracy was way more violent than I thought it would be. And I liked it.
Yeah, right out the gate.
Yeah. And so I really did like it. I think it's a really solid book. Drawing Blood #1, Kevin Eastman, David Avallone. It's already come out before, right? But it's a really cool kind of fictionalized version of Eastman's story and Avallone's story into this really cool, like former, where he's a cartoonist who created a giant franchise, sold that franchise, and now he's in trouble with the mob. But it's a really cool book. It was really fun. Dutch #3, because Joe Casey is doing something really cool for Rob Liefeld Extreme Studios fans. And it's all starting with Dutch. And that book was kinetic. That book was fun. That book is like Gran Torino with Dutch, the Chap Yape character from Youngblood. And now we got Blood Squad 7 coming. I've read the first 2 issues like a couple months ago. It's really cool stuff. It's really taking the concept that Rob developed for Youngblood and elevating it further than it ever has been and making it appropriate for 2024. And Deathstalker #1. I'm not familiar with the cheesy ass movies that it's based on, but that book cracked me up. I was laughing. I was having so much fun with it. So I thought Deathstalker was really good. That is my rapid fire. Thus concludes our show, Best Comics in April. We'll be talking about the best comics of May in June. It'll be like June 1st because May 31st is a Wednesday. But June 1st, we'll be back for the best comics of May. Nick, thank you so much for being here. What's coming up, bro?
Oh, yeah. Nick at Night, weekly comic book review show. Very similar to this format right here. Saturday nights, 7 p.m. Central Time. Wednesdays, the double dip. We got, I go over to my shop, Cadets Toys and Comics, and take a look at the new release wall and let you know what's out there, and as well as going over some books you might want to put on your pull list for FOC that week. Do top downs as well, going over some key books, going through the stories and whatnot. And you can catch me on Friday nights over at One Collection Down for the Blame Fabled Amazing Friends show. So tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central Time. And then, of course, here over on Best Comics of the Month, last Thursday of the month. Thanks for having me again, man.
I heard y'all going to be talking about Whiskey Dicks tomorrow night.
Whiskey Dicks and, oh, yeah, for sure. We had a great time making that title up. Was it
Eric? Thank you so much for being here. You did a fantastic job. Looking forward to having you on the show again. Why don't you tell us what's coming up on your channel?
Every Monday morning, 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, dropping new comic book reviews for everything on my pull list, and just enjoying the heck out of talking about these books. So thank you for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Hell yeah, Manny, we love you. What's coming up?
Boom. Not a fucking thing. So I mean, you guys can catch. I got my current videos out right now talking about a few of the books that we talked about tonight. So if you want to get my thoughts on Uncanny Valley or Helena Windhorn or Monsters Are My Business, and you want them to be coherent and much less rambly, you can catch those over on the channel while they're there. Taking a bit of a break. If anyone needs editing, thumbnail, graphic design services, hit me up on havenviewproimages.com. But yeah,
That's enough, Manny. Like you're good. You're good.
Yep.
Don't you're fine. You're fine. Okay. We love you. We're here for you. Manny's trying to kick heroin right now, everybody. I didn't want to put his business out there, but he's taking a break because He's got to go to rehab.
Well, the thing is, like, the bullshit of it is I'm not trying to kick it. Everyone else is telling me I have to kick it. All right. Yeah. I'm like, it's fucked up because they like do it in fun ways. So it's really hard to stay mad at them. Like my daughter came downstairs today and she's like, "Daddy, can I kick it?" And I'm like, "Yes, you can. Yes, can I kick it?" I'm like, "Fuck, dude." So I am being forced to go to rehab. I did say no. But yeah,
just say no, man.
Heroin makes great content, but it doesn't make great content for very long.
I just want everybody to know for legal purposes that we do not here on Pop Culture Philosophers believe that Manny is addicted to heroin nor going to rehab. All right. Speaking of rehab, Carrie, thank you so much for being here. What's coming up?
I think we lit a fire under my boyfriend, so we're going to be doing more What's Happening shows. We recently just put one out where we talked about kind of what we've been up to lately because he hadn't done one in a while. And we tried the True Moo Blue Milk. So we're going to tell you about it on that one. And we talk about Free Comic Book Day, which is coming up, which I want to remind everyone to support your local comic book shops and do that kind of thing. And I want to mention that an old friend of mine from high school, he has a GoFundMe out there that I posted about on my Instagram. Raising money for his niece, his baby niece that was recently diagnosed with leukemia. So if you got any spare funds to throw his way, go check out my Instagram, and there'll be information, a post a few days ago on that.
Hell yeah. I want to appreciate everybody out there real quick watching the show. Everybody here on the panel, thank you all so much for checking out the show. Here on PCP, we will be returning to Rockin Robbie Live. That will be Sunday night at 7 p.m. Central Time. You may even get a sneak peek at one of my top-down Heroes Reborn episodes, but you can also catch me Saturday night over at Dylan's Horror Show to talk about It, the original 1990 television movie directed by Tommy Lee Wallace, starring Tim Curry as Pennywise. And I love that Mike made the thumbnail using an action figure. Y'all notice that?
Yeah.
Totally an action figure. And then Monday night, PCP movie night, we're doing Kung Pao, Enter the Fist. We've been talking about a lot of thematically resonant movies lately, like Yojimbo and Serious Man, Gladiator. So it's nice to continue that tradition with Kung Pao, Enter the Fist on Monday night. And Steph, if you're watching, you signed up for that show. So that's Monday night at 8 p.m. Central Daylight Time. Eric, that's a common mistake we make here. But we're in daylight time, not standard time.
Whoops.
Just to let you know. Just
whatever time.
Damn, am I that guy? Actually, sir, we're in daylight time.
So much fun at parties.
One of these.
Oh.
Anyway, thank you all so much. We'll be here May 1st for more of this fun show that we do. All right, we're dipping out. Station.